Okay. Namaste. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be across the planet, around the world. I'm Greg from in5d.com. And today we're going to be talking about what led to your spiritual awakening. And I'll lead off. Batting first for the home team. Number 11. I kind of came in awakened. Many of you know that I have this, I was born with this disdain for organized religion because I had a previous lifetime as a Mayan elder, just an old man. I wasn't anyone special, but I was just an old man, an old Mayan man who was threatened during the Spanish Inquisition to convert to Christianity, or else they would kill me. So I lied and I said, sure. But I ended up sharing my knowledge with my children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. When I was young, around maybe 11 or 12 years old, I remember there was a magazine. It might have been like Boy's Life or it was a wholesome magazine like that. But in the back, they had this book that was basically black magic, and it taught you how to do various things. One of the things was out-of-body experiences, and that caught my attention. So I remember, and it was only like, we're talking back at early 1970s, and the book was only maybe $3 or $4, but I didn't want to ask my parents for that book. So what I ended up doing was, I just saved my money and I stuffed, $4 cash in an envelope, and it was in the summertime, and sent it off. And I would go to the mailbox every day to check the mail. When is that book coming? Eventually it did come. And I hid the book in my closet, and I would read up on that stuff. And that was fascinating. I knew that at a young age I had this interest in the metaphysical arts. And no, I never had that out of body experience at that point. But later on in life, I was consciously trying to have an OBE. This was back in 2011. And I'm laying down in my bed and I'm envisioning myself coming out of my body, and I start lifting out, and I got maybe about 6 inches out of my body. My cell phone rang and I come flying right back in. And I realized, well, number one, if you're going to have an OBE, make sure your phone's shut off. But number two, I don't think that's meant for me. I'm not supposed to be doing it. I think that was my, maybe warning sign, but not that it's a bad thing. A lot of people have wonderful experiences having OBEs. I know a friend that has had them all her life. She's, as a child, that was a natural thing for her to do. But what ended up awakening a lot of people is basically going down the rabbit hole and questioning everything. And there's a lot of truths out there that have been hidden from us. And I think that's probably a commonality amongst all of us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the Zoom chat room right now and unmute everyone. And if somebody wants to jump in and say, what led to your awakening, you're more than welcome to do so right now. So everybody's mic is open. And everybody is being silent. It's going to be an awfully short show if I'm the only one talking. We'll put it that way. Come on,
Hi,
Mary.
Greg.
I know you have something to say.
For me?
Yes.
How are you?
I'm good. I went to the beach earlier today, and as it turned out, Todd from Sology contacted me today, and we're going to get together in 5D and Sology tomorrow on the beach here in Siesta Key.
I saw that. I was trying to share out your post, and something very strange is happening with my Facebook.
Oh, yeah?
I go into in5D and site, and it won't stop. It just scrolls completely through everything.
Huh.
So it won't stop on one particular item. I don't know if it's just my phone or it's
That's
something.
bizarre.
It's very strange. Very
Well,
strange.
Facebook has been screwing me over for a long time.
Yes, I'm aware.
I've shown pictures of, how many likes some articles have. Some articles have 0 likes that have been out there for years that I know darn well have thousands of likes, and they take them all away. It's like taking away subscribers. I was just checking on my YouTube channel. I lost 158 subscribers in the past week. It's crazy. They're screwing me, and people are being unsubscribed. And they're telling me that I did not do that to myself, but YouTube is unsubscribing me from my favorite channel. So,
I, I haven't had that happen with this site, but I have had it happen with others. So fingers crossed.
I think whoever that's happening to, and it's happening to a lot of us in this genre, there's a reason why, and it's they're panicking, the elite,
Hmm.
the cabal is panicking because we're the ones that are bringing the truth and the light, and they don't want that happening. So they're trying to do everything they can to deter us, but it's not working.
Keep the faith, as they say.
So tell us all what led to your awakening.
Oh, it's a long story. So,
We got all night.
I don't know where to start really.
Once upon a time.
Yeah. When I was a youngster, as you would say,
When I was a kid.
Actually, I won't go into all the details, but I had my first, what I call peak experience when I was 7 years old. And I was raised in a very Catholic family, had a lot of faith at the time, and was very, very, very sick. I'm a baby boomer, so I'm not young. And I had mumps, chickenpox, and measles all within one right after the other. I was extremely sick, extremely. And I had a vision or an appearance, I don't know what to call it, of a woman and a man that appeared in my bedroom. And I won't go into real descriptions, but basically they told me that I was sick, but that I would get well because I had a mission to complete. So that was really the start. And like I said, I held a lot of faith, and I think spirituality is the word. And then finally, when I was in my teens, I started researching everything I could get my hands on, I checked on. And then I read books that were so difficult to read that I had a hard time understanding, but my search was on at that point, and I was in
What kind of books? Metaphysical books?
Metaphysical books, primarily.
Barbara Marciniak.
Yeah, I was reading a lot of philosophical, esoteric, metaphysical books. I was reading Kant and Jung, and a lot of what people would say would be not for general knowledge. And I was reading, so the search was on for quite a few years. And then about a week before my 28th birthday, I was really coming to grips. At about 4 years before that, I had learned how to meditate. So I meditated twice a day.
How old are you?
Sorry?
How old are you?
You really want to know? I'm 71 right now.
Oh, wow. That's fantastic. So you're
I'm
talking
old.
probably late 60s, early 70s that this is all going on?
Yeah, it would have been in the mid 50s the first time.
Right.
The second time was in 1977. So I was just about to turn 28.
Okay.
And
continue. Wow, this is great. Thank you.
I'm old.
No.
So
You're the Pluto and Leo generation that I
yes,
admire so much.
yes,
Thank you.
absolutely. Well, thank you for admiring us. I had a hard ride because I was kind of out there in the peace movement, and I was in the Peace Corps and did a lot of things that I thought would help me fulfill whatever my task was. I had this drive of service, still do. So anyway, the second major peak experience was what I call my really the beginning of an awakening, a true awakening, where I was thinking for myself and not with what I had learned, not with any of my traditions or any of those things. I was reading a really difficult text, and I wish I could remember what the book was. And I couldn't understand it. I mean, I was reading it like I was reading it over and over and just trying to get it into my brain. And I was like, it was a little far out for me. So finally, I just let go and I said, I don't understand this, but some part of me does. And at that point, my body started vibrating intensely. And I was, and for lack of a better word, this is hard to talk about because I've only talked to a few people about it and was ridiculed. But at that point, I was hit with a white light, literally hit probably here in my third eye. And at that same moment, everything was bathed, besides my internally, externally, everything was bathed in this incredible light. I don't have words to describe it. And at the same
I know
time,
that feeling, exactly
yes,
what you're
exactly.
talking about.
And at the same time, these waves of love and peace and serenity just filled me completely. But in addition to that, everything in the room became one. There was no delineation. I had plants there, and I was in my bedroom at the time, and furniture and everything disappeared. It was just one consolidated whole. And it was bliss. I don't know. I don't have the words to describe the experience. And it lasted quite a while. Now, and when I had this experience, I heard like a disembodied voice, but it was like my thought voice, but very clear with no distraction. And it said, yes, and I'm quoting exactly what I heard. Yes, there is a God. We are all gods. And then again, I got the message that I had a mission to perform of some kind. So that gradually faded away, the intense feelings. But for months, I was riding on a high that I can't describe. And I also started some astral traveling, which scared the heck out of me. But that was truly the moment that, and I call that the without a doubt moment. There is a without a doubt moment for me, and that was it. And without saying too much else, I could talk forever.
It kind of sounds like you had, and would you perhaps describe it as a Kundalini?
Well,
awakening?
later, someone said to me that it was the opening of my third eye. Now, I don't know whether that is true or not.
It
I
sounds
don't,
like a lot more than that. My third eye's open, but I didn't go through that to
right.
experience that.
I, I, I don't know. I think that I was given, I call it a great gift. So I've gone through a lot of hard times in my life. And I think in those hard times, that gift, that belief is what kept me going, what gave me, and for lack of a better term, faith in my higher self.
Did
But
it
I
give you
still,
a sense of relief as well from all the hard times, realizing that goodness, it's really not that hard, even though they were, I'm not putting them down, but was it a sense of relief too? Because I felt that it was like a huge pressure off of me.
I don't know if I felt relief, but I felt more of a more sense of having that I can rely on myself, on my own intuition, that that I am not alone, whether it's my higher self or source that has communicated with me. I don't know, but I came away with the one question: is who are the we are all gods? Is
The
it
Elohim.
we meaning me as part of that,
I
or
am.
we in the we that created man in our image?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
still don't have an answer to that.
That's the we in Genesis 1:26. Let
Right,
us make man in our own image. The
right,
the Elohim, El being God, Ohim being plural, we,
right.
the creator
Well,
God.
in a weird kind of sense, it's also in the statement "I am what am" includes we. I am what am. Every single person on the planet can say I am. That's the we. We are all I. You know.
Yes, exactly.
Therefore, I is God.
That's a good point. I mean, it was that sense of oneness that we are inseparable from everyone and everything around us at a high level.
So this is great that you're jumping in early ahead of everyone else, because I'd like to ask you because you've done this for so long, what advice do you have for people that are just waking up?
Oh, that's a hard one. Well, I would have to say, in my own experience, what helped me was to absorb and read, and as much as possible to get with people that think the way you do, that can reinforce what you believe, but do not believe everything that you hear. You know, take it, absorb it, think about it, and trust your higher guidance or source or whatever you want to call it to guide you to what is right for you. And I know invariably what is right for me. I think that was the gift that I was given, you know, and why I'm drawn to certain sites and drawn to certain people. And even though some of those people I don't agree with completely, I can find those pieces that I identify with, and I can see me in them, I should say, or they maybe can see them in me. But giving advice, there's a karmic debt there. You know, I mean, I think I'm obliged to help people if they ask me for help or if they need help. But I don't want to, if someone does ask me for help and I can't help them, I think I do. I don't want a debt because of that. You know,
Well,
I think.
honestly, Mary, I'm willing to go out on that limb and say, for personally, what if I were to ask myself that question, what advice would I give? Surrender. That's my
Well,
advice. Get out there and surrender. Trust that when you fall back, creator, source, universe, whatever you want to call this being, entity is there to catch you, and you'll be surprised at what happens when you surrender.
That's a good point. I never use surrender until I heard you say that. I always say my motto is no resistance. Do not resist, but surrender. It's the same type of thing, you know. Let it come in and absorb it, and if it's right for you, you will know.
Let me ask you another question then, Mary, if I may, with your vast experience, and I mean that wholeheartedly, because experience matters in this world. What advice, I guess, would you have for those that have awakened and yet sometimes still get sucked into the heaviness? In other words, because it's lonely at times, you know, you really don't often meet in your everyday life people with the same mindset, you know? So.
Well, I'm in that same position. I have a hard time, you know, I make connections, but I get pulled into dramas. They're dramas. They're, you know, I don't like to give advice, but if somebody asks me for help, I will tell them what I know. I don't care if they take my advice or they don't take my advice, but if you have it in front of you and then you do nothing about it, and then, I'm sorry, I'm struggling for words, and then dwell in your misery, that tells me you're happy in your misery, that you're afraid to give up that comfort, that, oh, I have a label, I'm this and I'm that, and I don't want to give it up. And I do too. I struggle every day with things that, you know, like cake. I don't want to give up cake. I don't want to give up ice cream, you know. I mean, in a simple way, you know, and not equating that to some people's problems or issues. Some people have deep-seated problems, but they identify with their problems. And that's what I have a hard time trying to be kind. And at the same time, I want to say, oh, get over yourself. You know, you're never going to heal.
Absolutely. You know? Those unfortunately are the folks I tend to actually have to cut out of my life, because you can only say so much, and if things don't change from their end, then you just move on and say, well, peace be with you, brother,
Right.
Or sister, as the case may be. But yeah.
Yeah, it's always, it's like you can help people, and if you have that in you and you feel called to do that, but don't sink to their level. You have to keep your vibration high, and for whatever that means to you, and and look at it from a greater viewpoint instead of sinking down to their level. And I found that that helps a lot if I can keep myself up. And I don't like to use up and down and too up, down, over, under. But if I can keep my faith and keep my strength, then I can help. And I have been able to help some people that have asked for it. I like to think that I have been given the gift of light, and that I can bring that light, kind of like in the Lord of the Rings, the light that shines in dark places. And I'm not
Never
saying
seen
that's
those
me. I'm
movies.
just saying that I was given a gift to use, so I use it when I can.
And that's another thing, as you mentioned about gifts. Each one of us have unique gifts and abilities, and somebody might look at somebody, like myself, because I see things before they happen, and I might have different gifts
Right.
than other people, and I wouldn't focus so much on what everybody else has. It's just one of my little bit of advice is to focus on what you have. What is your gift? Figure out what that is. Another thing would be to listen to your body, to always listen to your body. Your body's going to tell you so many more things ahead of time before anyone else will. And lastly, to ground, to make
Yes,
sure you ground, because that ties everything together, in the big
absolutely.
picture. And a lot of people feel, when you're imbalanced, that they kind of look at everywhere else outside of nature, and
Right.
especially when people are trapped in concrete jungles, and it's hard to get out and find a tree to hug or a park to walk through. You can still do other things, like get an obsidian, like a dark colored stone, and hold it in your hand and do
Got one
something
right
like
here.
that in your house, apartment, whatever. I've got
Right.
my big old crystal right
Yeah.
here.
Well, I have a big one like that here. We have a little one, black onyx.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like to sometimes, if I can't do anything else, I have a lot of herbs and things that I grow in the house. I like to just get my hands in the dirt and
Yes.
play with the plants, and that kind of relaxes my mind, and you know brings me to nature, especially when it's cold and it's snowing here, and
Yeah.
you don't really want to go out and take your shoes off and run around in the snow.
No. I just started juicing, and there's this pulp that comes out at the end, and it's from a cold pressed juicer, so the pulp
Oh,
is pretty
okay.
dry. But I was thinking, what can I do with this? And it would be great to make compost out of it, or to make a soup broth with it.
Oh
There's so
yeah,
many things that you can do with that pulp that comes out afterwards. And I was just trying to think of the stuff I could do with it, but to use it as compost and then to grow stuff afterwards would be a wonderful idea as well.
I think that is a good idea. Like I do that with coffee grounds. I throw them right in the
Yeah,
dirt.
eggshells.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't. I mean, I'm glad that you're doing the juicing and you're happy with it. But my question is, can't you just eat a stalk of celery instead of grinding it up?
Thing is, to get the benefit of what I get out of 16 ounces of celery juice, I have to eat the
Oh.
whole stalk of celery.
Oh, okay. That
Celery
makes
is
sense.
good.
Yeah. Okay. It's like
I could do that throughout the day, but
right.
a lot easier just to take that whole stalk and juice it. And
Okay. I mean, I get that. They're just like, oh, why can't you just eat celery?
yeah.
I don't know. I don't have a juicer, so maybe I should get one.
Yeah, I used to have a Jack LaLanne juicer, and it was okay, but it didn't juice as well as what I have right now. Right now I have a try something, try I don't know, I forgot the name, Tribird or something, juicer. And like I said, the pulp comes out dry, whereas with the Jack LaLanne juicer, I'd probably have to wring it out, and I'd still get a lot of juice left
Oh, okay.
afterwards. So yeah.
Oh,
So
good.
do you make your own juice? I mean, what's a juicer?
Yeah, it's a cold press juicer. It's kind of a
Oh.
slower juicer than a traditional juicer, but you can put anything in there. I'll use Swiss chard, kale, turmeric, tomatoes, cucumbers, carrots, and all sorts of fruit as well. But
Oh,
You had
fruit.
whiskey?
vegetables I wouldn't eat 'cause I hate vegetables. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't like veggies, so
I'm
I
not a
drink
big
them.
veggie eater either, unless they're raw.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
cook like spinach. I love spinach. You cook it, and I'm like, oh, please.
I don't like spinach, but I will juice it.
Now, see, you're a better man than I.
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah, I
So I
I
see
was
you
a
have.
little
Go
sorry.
ahead. Go ahead.
And it's hard to speak about things, and those are the top of the chain for me, and in peak experiences. And I don't think other things have happened, but those were probably the one that convinced me that I was on the right path, and that things come to people in different ways. And maybe that was the only way they could get to me. So I had to have that extraordinary experience to really get it.
Well, I appreciate you coming on here and telling
Oh,
us
thank you.
about that and sharing your wisdom from your Pluto and Leo generation.
I'm not sure I'm very wise, but
I love it. It's great.
thank you. Appreciate that. Thanks
And
for having the space for me to do that.
oh, absolutely, my pleasure. And as I've mentioned, the Zoom group is open right now. You guys are all live with me right now, and if anyone wants to jump in and tell us what led to your spiritual awakening, feel free to do so. Don't be shy. Come on, Fernanda. I see you want to speak. Say something.
I'm going to mute.
There you go. So I can't hear you. Hang on. Wow, it's showing that your microphone is unmuted, but I can't hear you. I hear something going on with Lula, like she's eating celery or something. But I can't hear you.
Hello.
No, can't hear you. Your mouth, I see your mouth moving, but I can't hear you. And your microphone, like I said, is unmuted. So in the meanwhile, while you're figuring that out, if anyone else wants to jump in, I see we have Desley here. You want to jump in?
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
You made it. Hi. Thanks.
Hello. How are you?
Hello.
Doing good. Where are you from? You have an accent.
Australia.
Wow. So it must be like really early in the morning there?
I think it's about 11:30.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. So how are you doing with the fires?
I
and
have the
everything?
day off, so I've managed to connect, which is a bit hard sometimes. So.
A lot of us all throughout the world put that positive thought and intention in there to bring rain to Australia, and
Yes,
it's been horrible.
I live inland in Queensland, and we've had months and months and months of no rain. It's just devastating for the wildlife in particular, and everything is just brown. There's no green at all, so it's quite devastating. So hopefully there's a few cyclones developing at the moment, so hopefully we might get some rain coming up into January. So.
Well, all of our hearts and our love is out there in Australia and
Thank
Puerto
you
Rico
very much.
with all the earthquakes that are going on there as well. So tell us what led to
Yes.
your awakening?
I woke up one day and felt like I was about to die. That's basically it. I felt strange. I didn't feel like I was in this world. My temperature kept dropping. It basically wouldn't stay up. It went very, very low. I had tingling. I had the lot. Fatigue. I couldn't move. I was like a rag doll. I couldn't speak. I was shaking. It hit me quite hard. So it took.
How long ago was that?
That was 2011. It wasn't long after we had a tsunami, an inland tsunami in Australia, in Toowoomba, where I come from. And for months prior to that tsunami, I could feel the earth changes. I could feel something big was about to happen. And I was getting these wave-like motions through my body, and very, very anxious, very, very nervous about something. I didn't know what. And it wasn't long after that that this started to happen as well. And then I got what I can describe as energy pulsing in front of my eyes. And that went on for quite a long time, as well as my hands. So I still have a lot of pulsing that comes in the hands. So I would consider myself to be clairsentient, and certainly pick up on earth changes quite dramatically. And then a couple of years ago, I got visited by dudes, I call them dudes, some sort of ET alien visitation, which went on for quite a while as well.
Well,
As you can
okay,
see, I'm
there's
an
two things
introvert.
that
Can you
are coming
expand on
up.
that?
One, did you have the clairsentience your entire life, or did you get that after your awakening?
No,
And number two, where do you think those dudes came from?
yeah, I'm not sure which galaxy, planet they'd come from. They were certainly trying to give me some sort of message. They left various symbols for me. Symbols.
How do they communicate with you?
They have about 6 months ago. I've been doing some medical intuitive courses. So I've been getting the heart-brain connection to open up. And they've come at night, and I'm not sure whether they've taken me away. There's gold pillars in front of my bedroom. I sense that I'm not here, that there's just me, there's just the omnipresence. I don't have a body anymore. I can't find my pillow. I can't find my phone. The door isn't where it was before. I go to try and find the door. The walls have shifted. It's quite an interesting experience. I've had that 2 or 3 times now.
Do you have any sense of where they're from?
Well, they've got long hands, very big hands. They do, the symbolism is sort of lines. They do a lot of wavy lines. I'm not sure. I don't know.
What's their message to you?
I think it's to do with balancing the feminine and the masculine and universal energy. That's what I get from it. But they haven't
Perhaps
actually,
to help with the medical intuitive stuff?
perhaps, yes.
Perhaps.
Yes.
Now, let me ask you this. Do you sense that they're family?
Yes, I'm not frightened of them at all.
When was
You
the
know,
last time that you had contact with them?
About 3 months ago, 4 months ago. Yeah, that's when I have the episode at night in the bedroom where I can't find my way back. And I simply am here, but I don't know where I am. So they were coming quite often, but it was sort of getting beyond a joke because they were setting off
Let me see the headphones.
and starting to make the walls move, and it was all getting a little bit too much. So they went away for a while.
It's funny. I find myself when I'm watching you, I'm like lifting my head up to see the rest of you.
Yeah.
All I'm seeing is like this. There you are. Okay. Thanks for joining us. Hi. But I'm like, yeah, I know she's here somewhere.
I'm here. Yeah. So
There you go.
anyway, that was my experience.
I'm wondering, does it feel like you're in another dimension, that you're moving
Yes.
dimension?
Good question.
Yes.
Okay.
I find it extremely hard to ground. I know Greg says, use your crystals and go for walks and put your feet in the earth. But grounding for me is very, very difficult. I can be fine, and then all of a sudden I just feel like I'm not here, that I've gone somewhere else. Yeah, which it's a bit
Might
hard
be a
to.
good gift to have if you
Sorry?
don't
So-
want to be in one place. Move out quickly.
So Desley, what
Yeah.
advice would you have for other people listening? If you're just awakening, what advice would you want to give them?
To try and just go with it, and not be too frightened or anxious about what's happening. In the beginning, I was so anxious because I couldn't understand what was happening. But I've learned to go with it, and to meditate. Meditate is really important, to go within to understand what's happening. That would be
I think-
my best advice.
Another one just came to me, another important point, and I love what you said and totally agree, but to stand in your truth, because a lot of times people will try to ridicule us that are in this genre. Oh, you're crazy or whatever, but no, we're not the ones that are, and time will show and prove that we're not. We were the ones that were right all along as these abilities come on for everybody. But in the meanwhile, as we're all figuring out our abilities and new abilities are coming online, people are looking at us like we're the ones that are crazy, but it's not us. Stand
That's
in your
true.
truth. You are who you think you are, and much more.
Hey, Desley, have you heard of a book called Medical Assistance Program? The
No.
Co-Creation White Brotherhood?
No, I haven't heard that.
It's an interesting book, and I had a copy at some point. I don't know what happened to it, and I've been looking for it. But it has everything to do with medical intuitiveness, and also entities that are willing to help with medical intuition. So for some reason, I thought of it while you were talking, that maybe it might be something that would interest you. In fact, I want to get another copy because I don't know what happened to my copy. But
So is that through Amazon?
well, I have. Let me see if I can do this share screen thing here. Yeah. Did that show up or?
There it is. Yep.
Okay, yep. The co-created White Brotherhood Medical Assistance Program. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now how do I get back to? There.
It's up on top in the center screen.
Oh.
Green.
Okay, come on. Okay, I don't know how I'm getting. All right, I'll figure it out, I think.
Yeah, there should be something on the center screen on top of.
Yeah, my whole thing just kind of disappeared on me, so now I can't even find my center screen. There we go. Chat? No, that's not what I want. I don't want to chat. What the hell? All right, I'm an idiot. Sorry, I don't know what to do here.
It's at the top.
Not on. For some reason, everything I put moved to the side, and now there's nothing at the top. I can't even get the original
Oh.
screen back. I don't know. Maybe it's. Yeah, I'm gonna log out and then come back. Sorry about
That'll
that.
do it. Yeah,
Yeah, sorry about that, guys.
that's okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
How do I log out? Where am I? Oh, there. There. Oh, shit, more. Shit, how do I log out of here?
Leave meeting.
I can't even find my screen though. That's my whole problem. I can't find any of it here. Oh, there. Maybe that. Sorry.
That's okay.
That's okay. Let me see if I can.
Raise hand. I my whole screen disappeared and I can't figure out how to get it back. It figures I would do something stupid like this. I really don't know what I did, guys. I'm sorry.
Not stupid. We all do it.
Yeah, I tend to do it more than most, believe it or not. Okay, that's not right. What the? Show grid. All right, show grid. Show the whole thing. Participants, start video, stop. Pause share. Oh, there. Did I stop the share? There.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Sorry, guys. I swear, I'm not totally good. All right. So here we are.
So does that book have various,
There it is.
hello?
Yeah. Am I here? Yeah.
Does that book have various, hello?
Yep, we're here.
Yeah.
Someone's got some music playing in the background.
Yeah, I can't hear anything. It's not me that time. This time.
I'm gonna mute, but it's not me.
I'm trying to figure out who's got the music playing so I can mute them.
Yeah, I can't hear anything. It's not me that time. This time.
I'm gonna mute, but it's not me.
Seems to be a delay too.
Okay, well, I had to mute everyone. I know that Desley was trying to say something, so I just unmuted you, and I'll, unmute yourselves as you want to join in. So we'll just take it from there. Okay, Desley, you're on. You were saying something.
Yeah, just in regards to that book, what particular beings are involved in that?
I don't remember, Desley. I read it a while ago, and I've been looking for my copy. I don't remember who they say they are. I really don't, and I wish I could expound more, but I don't. But I know I've been trying to find it here again because for personal reasons.
Yeah.
So I don't really remember. I know there was one named Pan, P-A-N. I don't know where they claim to be from or whatnot.
Pan. Right. Okay.
So Doug, you lost your video. So go down to your lower left-hand corner of
Yeah,
your.
okay, there we go.
Yep.
All right, sorry about that. Right. See, start video. All right, start video. You cannot start your video because the host has stopped it.
Yeah, I did that when you were having issues, but I didn't know.
Oh.
I didn't think that. Okay, let me see if I can.
Well, it's telling me that still, so.
Oh, okay, there you go. Let's try that. There you go. That
There
should
we
do
go.
it.
Yeah, all right, cool.
All right.
It's still me. All right, thanks.
Yeah, I was trying to. I thought maybe if I did that, it would help get us back out of the screen share.
Yeah, and I apologize. I don't know. I never know what I do. I just do.
So why don't, now that we got you here, why don't you tell us how you, what led to your spiritual awakening, Doug?
Well, I ultimately have come to think it was inevitable, but it was a long road too for me. And ever since I was a kid, I've had this little voice inside of me that's told me what to do and how to do things. And I've listened to it forever. And yet I've gotten in trouble my entire life and for various things. I was in fights. I could tell stories that would make all of you guys just shrink up inside. Things we did when we were kids. But I went through all of my 20s. I was like the shyest, most introverted person you can imagine. I had all these feelings pent up inside of me. And I didn't know what to do about it. And it took a girl, my first and only girlfriend was in my late 20s, broke up with me and broke my heart. It was then that I started to live. And then it's been a process since then, if you will. I was in the room when my grandfather died, and we were all there. His whole family was there saying, "We love you." And he was in his early 80s. He had a great life, was one of the few heroes I have in my life. And then a year and a half later, I was in the room when my dad died, and it was a complete opposite. I saw anger in his eyes as he died. And after that, I knew deep inside that I had the potential, and by this time I was in my early 30s, and I knew I had the potential to die like Dad did. And I made a vow to the universe, I don't want to die like Dad did. I want to die like Grandpa did, peaceful. And I've always wanted peace. My whole life, people say, "What do you want, Doug?" "I want peace." And I've never found it. I always thought it was like an elusive dream, even though I had that voice deep inside that was a conscience, if you will.
It kind of sounds like you were surrendering at that point.
I had these walls around me that were very intensely embedded, and I kept them there for a long time. It wasn't until I realized that I was keeping them there that I had to change that I started this process. And it was those funerals that helped. after that girl broke up with me, I actually started to live, and things started to happen in my life. And I kept coming into, I kept making friends, which is a first, things I had never done. And then I came across books. The Celestine Prophecy was the first book I came across that I look back now and I see it as like a perfect primer for me. It opened my mind into the energetic value of just interacting and being. And from that point on, I spent a lot of time in bookstores, and I would look through the New Age section. I would look through every section looking for books that intrigued me. And then I found Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh. And again, it's actually the second book that caught my attention. And it just opened my mind into accepting possibilities that my Catholic raised mind had always shut down, and my own guilt had always shut down. My own inner sense of Doug, your thoughts don't matter anyway. You're weird. You're a troublemaker. You don't fit in. So, but I was starting to realize finally that actually I do have thoughts that matter. So those things help. But then in 1997, a friend of mine gave me a book called A Course in Miracles, and I took this book home and I opened up and read the introduction in my apartment, and I started to cry. I knew right then and there, I knew I had found everything I've been looking for my entire life. And that was another turning point in my life. From that point on, I became a student of A Course in Miracles, and I've awakened, if you will. I've awakened to a far grander world than what my first 30 years had shown me existed, or I had seen, or however you want to say it. And since then, I swear it's like I'm a walking poster boy for A Course in Miracles. In 1999, I met my wife, or re-met her. We have an incredibly wonderful soulmate story. So after this awakening happened, which is 97 and 98, 99, I met my wife. She had 2 kids from her first marriage. I moved cross country. I quit my job. I moved in with a woman, and I became an instant stepdad to her kids in one shot. All at one time. And we have had 2 kids together since then, and all 4 are incredibly well-adjusted young children. And it's almost like we've been living a fairy tale. My wife and I really have, she woke up on her own too. So we've kept it going. The power and the energy of our inspiration is made a family unit that's really powerful, so I'm really quite pleased with how things are turning out and have turned out in my life. It's my own inner sense of what do I do now? I was a stay-at-home dad for the last 12 years or so, and now my kids are older. So now I'm trying to figure out, like I said last night, what to do when I grow up. So
right. So what advice do you have for people now that you've gone through this awakening process, and you've learned a lot? What would you recommend or say to people that are just awakening?
I wouldn't give any advice unless they asked for it or sought it. In other words, I'm not one to
let's assume that they're asking for advice.
Okay. Keep going, keep believing, keep knowing that it's true, because it is, and trust. And there will come times when that trust is put at risk just because of life. I think this world purposely sets these things up, but continue to have the faith, even when it seems the wrong thing to do based on what the world says. Have faith anyway, because that faith never lets you down, ever. That voice inside you will not let you down if you're listening to the true voice, and and not the ego, if you will. There's always 2 voices inside, but the one that's quiet and not yelling at you is the one to listen to. So my advice would be and keep seeking. Don't ever stop looking and opening your mind, because even if you think you figured it all out, you haven't figured it all out. There's always
we know nothing, basically. Honestly,
we know nothing.
Right.
That's my mantra. I know nothing.
Right.
I'm learning every day.
Yeah, exactly. And now that I know there's so much more out there, I'm like, yeah, give me more. I long to see more, but it's gotta be slow, because I can't take it all in at once. It overwhelms you.
There's another thing that I learned along the path that, if I were to ask, if someone were to ask for advice, is that you can't awaken anyone. You personally can't do that to anyone. All you can do is light that candle, pass the candle along, hope that person maintains the flame. For example, I might talk to somebody at the beach and say, oh, wow, look at those those lines in the sky. I heard they're called chemtrails. You know, I don't remember seeing them back in the 1980s. Yeah, that they might pique their curiosity or something like that, and then they can run with it. But you know, I'm not going to bombard somebody with a bunch of stuff they don't want to hear.
I've become very good at that. This is one thing about me I've always had. I've had this since I was young. I'm talking 4 or 5 years old. I've had this very solid inner conscious voice that has saved me in a lot of times in my life, and other times I didn't listen. But I have an intuition about other people around. It gets me in trouble too. I can say the one thing that'll piss someone off in a heartbeat. I have that knack. I can get to the one point of someone's personality
that might be a gift, though, to be able to bring that out in some people.
It's a gift now, but back in the day when I didn't understand it, it was a curse. I got in trouble. You know, I got in a lot of trouble, but it is a gift now. So what I've learned over the years, and this is what I was getting at, Greg, I've learned to use that and channel it differently than when I was a young, insecure child and would lash out with it. Now I use it subtly to undermine their feelings and fears with little subtle things like you were suggesting, subtle suggestions. And strangely, that really matters. It makes a difference in the long run. You'll notice if you do things like that, you notice a month or two later, they're talking about it like it was their idea, you know, and oftentimes. And to me, that is like, thank you, you know, it is your idea. Keep going with it, you know. So, yeah. So,
you know, another thing too is trying to control others. You know, if I saw a really good movie, this is one thing I don't, when you try to control others, it means there's something within your own life that is out of control. So you try to gain that control through other people. If I saw a really good movie, I would say something like, instead of "you need to see this movie," I would say, you know, I think you might appreciate this movie, or, you know, I saw this really cool movie that I think you might dig. Something along that line. I would never say "you need to" anyone about anything. You know, it's just not trying to control others. It's not cool, period.
I have a tendency to open up and I'll share people with experiences that I did personally to change, to alter myself, just to give them the idea that maybe they can alter themselves as well, if that makes sense. Just give a little hint by sharing something interior and personal for yourself to them, to help them see that it's okay to share something like that. And it's like one little layer at a time sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, but that's also what I was saying to Mary. That's what also gets lonely after a while. You do that time after time after time for years, and finally you're yawning too. You know, like, you know, you don't want to even talk to them anymore, if that makes sense. Even though you love them. You know?
Right.
You
know. In the YouTube chat room, Up3 said this. I had to scroll back and see it, and he said, "The older I get, the less I know." That is so perfect. Yeah. You think you know it all, and then bam, you know nothing. Well said, Up3.
And that makes it exciting to keep on going, quite frankly. That makes it exciting to keep teaching, keep showing me more stuff. As long as I'm here, let me keep opening my mind to stuff, man.
I put it out there to the universe that keep showing me stuff that will amaze me. Try to make my jaw drop in a good way. Like for example, if a Pleiadian, an Arcturian, and an Andromedan materialized in my living room and sat right next to me on the couch right now, my jaw would not drop. I'd be like, "Hey, that's cool. Join in on us. Hey, tell us where you're from. This would be the greatest conversation we'll ever have."
I would love to have someone drop in on me like that. I keep hearing all these folks that have them drop in, and I don't have anyone drop in, man. You know, come on in.
Yeah, you know, I've actually had, you know, through channeling Zeta Reticuli contact me, but yeah.
Like, what am I, chopped liver? Give me a channeler.
So I'm going to put it out there for other people that are here joining us, and thank you for sharing your awakening with us, Doug. But I'm going to unmute everyone again, and if anyone wants to jump in, I think that's where.
One last thing I would like to add, Greg, and this I think everyone that's experienced this will agree with, is since then I continue to have miracles in my life. When I say miracles, they're personal epiphanies. They're personal things that I could write books about them. There's been so many that there's personal things. And I think that's another thing you have to look forward to. Once you're open to these miracles, they come. They're here. It could be a squirrel coming and sitting right next to you. Whatever the form the miracle takes, doesn't matter. If it matters to you, it was a miracle. And they keep coming, you know, especially when you need them most, you know. So I'll end with that.
That's awesome. Yeah, yeah. Put it out there. Who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So as I mentioned, you guys are unmuted right now. So if you want to join in, anyone want to join in and tell us about your spiritual awakening experience? The mic is yours.
Pick a number.
Don't be shy.
Be shy.
I like what Doug just said about how it was kind of inevitable. Like, I was a strong-willed questioner of things, and I wouldn't believe in anything that I couldn't see until that one time finally, like,
Oh, where'd you go? There you are.
I don't know, I think I'm back.
Yeah, you're back.
Am I back? It just like logged me off for a second. Okay. Yeah. And
There
so
you
I
are.
started like researching a whole bunch of everything because of that time I had an accidental out-of-body experience and I saw the other dimensions that seemed more real than this one, like more awake.
Wait. An accidental out-of-body experience? How do you
I
have
was
an
reading about that
accidental
too, yeah.
out-of-body experience?
I was 15 and I smoked weed.
Yeah.
So I think that
Smoke
I
weed.
accidentally, my friend Kathleen, she didn't smoke, so she didn't do it. She was right next to me though. I don't know if I had something in it, but I started saying, Kathleen, don't let my eyes close. If my eyes close, I'm gonna die. If I feel like if my eyes close, I'm gonna die. Kathleen, don't let me close my eyes. And I was freaking out, right? So I guess I closed my eyes because I saw myself sitting against the brick wall that I was sitting against. And I saw my face and I'm like, damn, I look messed up. And so I turned around for some reason and looked behind me. And it was like I saw space, like stars. And there were a few bubbles, like maybe like 5 to 7. And when I looked into them, it was like, wow, they're not dreaming. I'm not dreaming in there. Like my whole life has been a dream. I was like, wow, how could everything I've done have been a dream? And I thought it was so important my whole life. And I was like, wow, I could go to these places. So I started researching invisible things and physics and monks and what they do. And like I became obsessed with learning the reality of everything and meditating.
How
and
old
that's
were you
when
at that point?
I was 15 when that happened.
Was that the beginning of your spiritual awakening when you had that then?
Yeah, I really stayed like a non-believer of everything for a while after that until I was 18. And this girl, she told me about high priests and how I had past lives, and she knows that I was like a medicine man and stuff like that. Life, and I was like, okay, but I didn't know her anymore, and I still kept researching and meditating. And one day I read that I should look at the aura of the trees. So I was on my roof in the Bronx, and I was like probably 19 or 20, and I was looking at the tree's aura, and it was sparkling. And all of a sudden, it was like what I told you one time before. My arms up was the sky, and my arms down was inside the earth, and my arms were the horizon. And after that, I just had like love for everybody. And I used to wear makeup and put my eyebrows on, and I wouldn't even answer the door without eyebrows. You know, I was really conceited and like I thought I was pretty. So after that, I never wore makeup for a long time. I never put on eyebrows. I stopped caring. I stopped caring about anything. I didn't have an ego. It was like I didn't have an ego anymore. And so then I asked, I was like, a while after that, I was like, am I really a good person, or am I just doing this to pretend? Like, what if it's not true in my heart? What if I'm just secretly trying to be a good person, but I'm not? And that very night, I had a dream or something, and this giant white light being, like, I don't know what it was. It just said, not, there wasn't no words, but it was in my head and it sounded like it meant your heart is pure and remember love and acceptance or something like that. Like, remember pure love and acceptance and your heart is pure. And I was like, okay. And I've just been on this ever since, trying to tell other people, like, they're like, why are you always happy? And I've always been like that, but I'm like, well, I don't know.
Those light beings, any idea who they were or where they were from?
Well, I have an idea that I'm from, like, I have a sister also Syrian, some serious, like the lions, and there's also this one that's always next to me, and it says baby love, and they're like my ancestors maybe, but I don't know. I just think maybe it was one of my ancestors or another guardian of the galaxy. And I found out in another past life meditation, I was also friends with all these like guardians of the galaxy, and I was with them, you know, helping all the planets.
What if that was you telling yourself?
I don't know. I think that's possible too. It could have been me in the future. Like,
Or your
there's a
higher
future.
self. Yeah.
Yeah, that too. It kind of looked maybe more like that because it was so just sparkling white and like the outline, like I didn't see any features at all. It was just like a pure white light in the shape of a tall person, but with like a dress on. I couldn't see any legs.
So
the
it was a
bottom,
female.
I thought it kind of seemed a little equal, actually. I don't know if it was a female or male. I think it seemed equal, half and half in the middle.
So it'd
Like,
be
it was
more of a
both, but I
robe
think
than
it
a
was maybe-
dress, I would imagine.
Yeah, robe, a robe.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Just, I don't know. Well, to be politically correct, I guess men can wear dresses now, but when I envision a
You can,
man,
if it was
it's
my higher
probably in a
self.
robe more than a dress.
It could have been a man in a dress.
Yeah,
Yeah.
even if you're spiritually pure and you're wearing a dress, you're not going to come over well with some folks. It's just not going to happen.
I have a feeling that where we're from, no one would judge us for wearing dresses.
Probably.
No, as a matter of
Well,
fact, I've got a
don't
friend of
know.
mine that she keeps saying that she sees me wearing this white robe all the time. I'll come to her in dreams and I'm wearing a white robe. Maybe it was a dress. I don't know.
Well, I can wear a
Wow.
robe, but I can never wear a dress just on general principles. Even if I was a woman, I guess I could. So,
Right.
but-
I've worn boy clothes before, because before I also I would think I was only a boy, and I was just, I was a girl, but I was a boy trapped in a girl's body because I was so masculine. And then when I finally balanced the masculine and feminine, I went back to being like a girl and still with my masculine side healthy, but I was like, I only like girls, I dress like a boy, and after that, meditating for a while, I've been still working on balancing everything that I used to do so strongly.
Feels like my feminine side wouldn't wear a dress either. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Well, I know that feeling that you have, Elena, because when I used to live in upstate New York, and I always felt like I was a
Yeah.
California guy trapped in a New York body. But as it turned out,
Yeah.
I was a Florida guy trapped in a New York body. I love Florida.
Yeah.
This is exactly where I need to be.
Yeah. I love Florida too. I moved here three years ago, and I found my fiance here also by accident. It's like all the beautiful stuff falls into my lap.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why I love Florida too.
So why don't you have a Bronx accent?
I tried not to get an accent from anywhere. I lived in South Carolina from 12 to 16 and Pennsylvania for part of my elementary school. And I moved to Pennsylvania also for a year again. And I think I went so many places that I just tried not to get an accent. And also when I moved here, I kind of did. And people made fun of me. And they didn't like me because I sounded tough, like a tough guy. And I was trying to get jobs places. And they're like, you're not from here, are you? Nope. They wouldn't talk to me. So I was
There's certain
dang,
things that us New Yorkers,
tough.
even though I'm from upstate New York, there's a few words that I might say like chocolate. Apparently I should say chocolate instead of chocolate, more a cha and cha.
Chocolate.
Chocolate.
That's Boston. That's Boston.
Boston. Yeah.
coffee.
But I remember when I used to live in Las Vegas for a year, and people out there knew I was from New York, even though I don't feel like I have any accent from upstate. We still pick
Yeah.
up a few things. And my mom was from Brooklyn and my dad was from Jersey. So, they had their little accents as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. My cousin and a bunch of people have such strong New York accents, but I think I really wanted to be able to relate with people down here. So I purposely try to have no accent.
Yeah.
And I guess it's kind of like, I don't know, maybe I want to be able to connect with people down here too, since a lot of people like, we're Southerners. You're a Yankee. So I don't
Right.
want to be a
Rebels.
Yankee
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. And maybe that's why we're here, because I think all of us on some level are spiritual rebels. The South is known as being the rebels.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
we're galactic warriors. We're spiritual rebels. We're bucking the
Yeah.
system in so many different ways.
Yeah.
So
That's another aspect of it. If we traveled the galaxy and we had to go onto a whole bunch of different forms to fit in on those planets, maybe we're used to moving around the country and fitting in those places so we can spread our message there, do the stuff there.
So you were talking about the ego earlier, and I think that's an important point. And a lot of people have a hard time releasing and letting go of the ego. They want to think, oh, this is all about me, and it's not. It's about us. And even if you think it's about me, it's still about us and everyone
Yeah, it's
else.
about everybody. I think that I'm friends with it or something now, because that's the part of us that really runs our life, that makes you eat, breathe, talk. Like, isn't that part of us that we need with a human body? But it doesn't run my mind anymore at all ever since that one day. And it's like, I want to learn how to tell everybody how to do that, or like how to help themselves. That's what I'm working on right now, is trying
How
to.
old are you now, Eileen? If it's not that it
I'm
matters.
27. I'm 27. I want to learn a lot of things before I do anything. I don't know how yet.
You want to learn before you do.
Start making
Well,
YouTube videos.
yeah, I've done a lot of things without learning and done a lot of things while learning and, learn things. But yeah, I want to become like you guys with a page and a website someday. Because I've had a lot of crazy experiences that could prove that like the invisible multiverse exists, or whatever everything is. Us trying to heal our other aspects, that part, I want to learn about that. Like bringing ourselves back into this one here. Like what happens to those yous in the other dimension? Do they disappear from all your friends that know you? Because that seems like that would damage your friends in that other dimension, just losing you. So like, what is that all about?
You said something that was key also. You said you've had a lot of experiences, and that's awesome because, at your age, to have that many is a wonderful thing. The Rosicrucians have a belief that your goal in life is not to be happy. Happiness is an emotion. Your goal in life is to experience as much as you possibly can. And within those experiences, you'll find happiness.
Yeah, that's why I'm happy, I think, because I'm like an explorer. I'm not even always happy. That's what I tell them too. I'm like, I'm not really always happy. You
Yeah.
just see me being nice because I don't want to make you more sad. So, but that's not really, I don't know yet. We'll never
On
know.
on YouTube chat, Jennifer Perez says that Florida is the galactic melting pot.
Everyone comes here.
Yeah.
Everyone goes to New York and then they go to Florida.
My wife is going to Florida next week, and she's gonna spend time on the beach by herself to collect herself. Not far from where you are, Greg. Actually,
Uh-huh.
she's going to visit my in-laws. I talked about last night. Her parents. So.
Nice. Good for her. Definitely.
Exactly, she needs it. Yeah. But I told her to beware of Florida man, because he's a crazy dude. Florida man's crazy.
The crazy people are here. Tell her to lay on the sand on her back for like 2 hours. I did that in Daytona Beach here, and I felt like I got a massage, like a deep tissue massage. It felt like when I got up, I was like, whoa.
I'm fairly confident she'll know exactly what to do to take care of herself, so I won't bother to make suggestions to her. I'll let her figure it out.
I understand.
So, Elena, what advice do you have for people if somebody was to ask you for some advice and they're just waking up, what would you tell them?
I would say do a lot of research, because that's what helped me, and see all the different sources, because there's a lot of fake sources, so you can learn discernment. Because a lot of people try to take advantage, and even in the spiritual community, they'll be like, I'll heal you, but really they're just trying to steal information about you and steal your energy like a vampire and suck it. So I would tell them to just try and cultivate that feeling of love, that's that true feeling. Like, find it, and not fake it till you make it, but really find it. Just sit still till you find the real one, like that real deep in your stomach down there floating up. And then get your own emotions in straight and do your research about stuff, and try and learn how to not let people take advantage of you, and go on your own path, and let everybody be crazy somewhere else. Like, if they're crazy, don't touch them. Let them be crazy somewhere else. That's what helped.
Send them to n5d.com too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you for
Yeah,
sharing
I
your story.
suppose.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you're welcome. Of
And
course.
we have a bunch of people in here, and if anyone else wants to jump in, everyone is unmuted right now. So
I'll jump in.
all right, great. Hey,
Everybody, back
Hey,
again.
Phil, I have to say, you remind me of Wolfman Jack, and that's a good compliment. Us older people will know who that is.
Jack, because he's gone.
Yeah, well, no, yeah.
He left the radio station. Anyway, yeah. So, Greg, I'm going to say my awakening started pretty early on when I read "Stranger in a Strange Land."
Yeah.
That opened my ideas to, oh yeah, there could be people coming here incarnating from other planets.
Yeah. I grok you.
Yeah, I love that. I haven't had a chance to use that. I'm gonna have to bring that phrase back up.
Right.
It's a good book that kind of turned me on to the other world. Would be Carlos Castaneda's The Teachings of Don Juan. So I'm kind of giving you a list of books you want to read if you want to open up and wake your mind up. Of course, I also dropped some acid. Yeah, so I've been awakening from the beginning, man. It's just been a continual process. You gain more experiences, more things, read more things. Well, I don't read that much now because I've lost the eye to see. But yeah, you just keep on going on and awaken a little bit every day. That's what
Yeah.
you just
I
keep.
think that's a great way of putting it. I've been awakening since the beginning. It really is. It all seems like that. It seems to me everything in my life happened for my awakening, if you will. Everything I've experienced seems to have been pointed towards Doug. Wake up, chill out, and wake up.
Well, our spirit guides are really trying to wake us up. I mean, I think, yeah, I've even had my guardian angel talk to me now. So the veil is very thin. People are going to be seeing stuff. People are seeing stuff. And yeah.
so Phil, let me ask you. Let's say I'm just awakening, and you mentioned your guardian angel. If I'm just awakening, what I would ask you is how do I know that my guardian angel is speaking to me, or how can I contact my guardian angel?
Well, for me, Greg, it's my intent.
Right.
And basically, the process is that you go get into a meditative state, and once you kind of calm the monkey mind down, and
Oh, that's not easy to do when you're first wakening up, because your mind is going in a million directions. You're getting
Well,
stimulated with all this
this would be
fascinating
my advice
information.
to him then. Yeah, you need to work on that. That's going to be a thing, because yeah, you need to actually be able to identify your ego's voice, your higher self's voice,
Yes.
and you can do it mostly by the content. If you just really, you need to get into the observer mode. Really, is what it's. I guess.
Like the third person observer, and that's hard to explain to somebody that's
Right.
waking up. Like you're watching yourself and everything around you.
Right, you're watching even yourself.
Right.
Yeah. So
I don't even know if it's our job anymore. I used to think it was my job to help people awaken, but no, I don't think so anymore. I'm kind of
But
Yeah,
what we're
ambivalent
what
about
we're
it.
hypothetically saying is, if somebody comes up to you and asks, "Hey,
That's-
what should I do?" You know,
that's different.
That's
Right.
the hardest question I ever think of, though.
That's different.
What do you
yeah.
tell people?
go to
What do we tell
n5d.com.
them?
Check out the
gotta go
search
to-
bar.
That's what I say a lot. I tell
Right.
people a lot. I'm like, you want to know what website I look up? And it's even got space weather and stuff, because that's my favorite thing. I love the space weather. And I tell people, go to in5d.com.
Oh my God, you call it,
telling my
you say the
sister.
same thing as my mom, in5d instead of n5d.
Right.
I say
IN.
IN5D. I can't help it. I've always said IN5D. Because no one else would listen to me about it when the first few years I started reading it. So I just all by myself calling it IN5D, because I never heard anyone call it anything else.
n5d, yeah, that
N5D.
works.
That's what you call it.
Yeah,
Oh, it's his thing.
That's
that's
funny
what
that
I
your
got
mom
with
Oh,
my
told you
galactic
that.
download. They told me n5d. That's your website.
All
And I
right,
looked it
so
up.
that's the right one, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah, that was the
They
galactic
said
download. That's official. It wasn't I didn't come up
Straight
with
from
it.
the store.
Yeah.
Okay, then.
So continue, Phil.
Right. Well, so yeah, there's a lot to the awakening process. I've been trying. I understand that first thing when you go in meditation, but I did that 20 years ago, I think. It's hard for me to remember now. Time is getting really kind of. But anyway, yeah, we're here. If we awaken, we have an obligation to shine the light, right, and be as positive and put a good spin on it, because that's the direction. At least that's the direction I want it to take. I want to see this unity through diversity, where each person is at their creative best. And there's some people that says that creativity is channeled anyway. So yeah, you need to channel in your best, your higher self. And it's a battle. It is a real battle. I have empathy and healing for anybody out there doing it. This is why I offer free Reiki sessions to begin with. I mean, I'm not going to, of course, in an hour, I would think that I would get to your base needs there, and you wouldn't need much more than that. But anyway, so I'm digressing. I'm sorry. You get to tell this person, if they were to ask, first off, I'd probably rear back a little bit and go, "What? You want to know what's going on?" And then I would just try to answer any questions they had. I might throw out a few things. I remember one thing I threw out to somebody to wake them up, and it sort of did, was about the Federal Reserve, that it's neither federal nor
Reserve.
reserved.
That movie, Zeitgeist.
Yeah, Zeitgeist was good.
That was a great movie. Yeah.
That opened me up.
I have a
And
link on N5D, 200 plus free movies. I probably need to update that link. I need to do that. I update all the links on there like every 3-4 months. I have to update that link, but I probably should repost that again because there are so many wonderful awakening movies on there, like Zeitgeist, Esoteric Agenda, right down the line. Yeah.
Mhm.
Phil, you raised an interesting point to me. I thought too, is that you said something along the lines that you can't seem to stop wanting to help people and to spread the light and to share it. It seems like once you have this awakening, you just really have this deep-seated urge to let it flow and share it with everyone. It's like I think everyone's a teacher. Everyone is teaching constantly. But
Yeah,
when you
become the
consciously are aware of what you're teaching, it changes everything. In your own world, it changes how you approach all your even interactions with people that are meaningless. They're not meaningless. You
Right.
bump into someone in line, it's not a meaningless bump into.
Yeah,
If that
service
makes
to
sense.
others, being service to others is so important.
I think it's innate, and I think it comes out more when you finally have awakened, if you will. So anyway.
So can I say something to Doug Crandall?
Sure. Who's
So
speaking?
Doug, this
Mary.
is a Galaxy E.
All right, Galaxy Tab E. All right.
That's right. So my name's really Mary. So but I don't want to give myself a persona, but I wanted to tell you, you're really hitting the nail on the head with teaching, because in the words of Marcus Aurelius, when you are teaching, you are learning. And one of the things that happens is all your senses are engaged. So when you're teaching something to someone, you are engaging all of your senses. You are, like, say, take a whiteboard, for example. You are writing something down. You are actually visually seeing it, and you are speaking it, and you are feeling it, and you are saying it. So when you're teaching, you are actually learning yourself. So that was awesome that you brought that up.
And Mary, thank you so much. I really think that's the thing about teaching is you're teaching what you most have to learn. And I think
Right.
as the teaching happens, I've had my own internal epiphanies in those moments that are indescribable. Exactly. So you are correct.
Right, Doug. So when you talk to other people and you say, hey, this is happening, blah, 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 and you hear yourself and you go, oh, wow, that's my own little secret epiphany. I just heard myself talking.
Yeah.
And so then you're like, yes, and a light goes off in your head and you're so happy because you know it, they know it. Even if they stare at you, you know they got something.
That's similar to when like people like Phil that do Reiki, when you're healing others, you're healing yourself as well. So
Right.
just along that same line.
Oh, same
Exactly.
here.
Right.
Yep.
And again, that also goes back to oneness. There's only one of us here, you idiots, so act accordingly.
That's right. That's
Tongue
right.
in
We are
cheek, I
all
said.
connected. We are all connected to
Yeah.
the mitochondrial DNA of the original mother. So we are all one. Because when the creator created like male and female, well, like sometimes in the spirit world, like as Greg was saying before, it's an androgynous, and it's not really androgynous, just both. So
Like
when they
mine.
did, yeah. So when they decided to make the spiritual division of male and female, then, I lost my train of thought, but you know what I mean? There's like,
That's the only way that one would have the way to love another. If we were
Right.
one all alone
Right.
by ourselves, what would I do? I'd take a piece of me and make it another me so I could love it and hug it and tell it that
that's
I love
exactly
it.
right, Elaine. That's exactly
That's
right.
interesting that you said. I never thought
That's
about
exactly
why.
right.
That's interesting.
I just had a little bit of one-mindedness is also one-bodiness. One mind is at play here. I think that's really where unity is, but one-bodiness has to be in play then too. In other words, if that makes sense, as above, so below.
Well, yeah, I mean, physicality and consciousness, I think, are two different things. In fact, in the Emerald Tablets, I think that it starts off all as consciousness, or the all is all, the all is nothing, the all is consciousness. So we're all connected through consciousness. It's one, that's why they talk about the collective conscious, or the collective subconscious, or the collective unconscious, or the collective super conscious. So it's all about, realizing that connection. Then we all spring from the earth. We're all creatures of the earth. We're all children of the earth and sun, if you want to say that, because we wouldn't be growing if there wasn't a sun. So we're all
Actually, I
living
just learned something today that tomatoes grow in the moonlight. I didn't know that. Anyway, continue. Just a little trivia.
Nightshades, nightshades. That's why they call them
Not know that
nightshades.
either.
right. Yeah.
That's interesting.
It is interesting.
Yeah. Night.
I really don't like tomatoes.
Tomatoes come from this nightshade.
I don't like tomatoes.
No.
I love
I'm sorry to
fresh
interrupt.
tomatoes
Phil.
that I
Continue,
grew.
please.
Tomatoes I grew at home, I love, but the ones I buy in the store, I don't love.
No, because you know why? You know why, Doug? There's
They
no
don't taste
love
as
in
good.
there's no love in this
Yeah.
tomatoes at the store.
You
They're
can
just
taste
a generic product for you to buy. There is
It
no
tastes it.
care, sunshine, or love in them.
You
Yeah.
can taste the lack of love. That's a poem for you
That's
right
right.
there.
That's right. No nutrients, no love. Yes, you can.
I'm sorry, Phil.
Oh.
Please
Sorry, yeah, we
continue.
got digression.
sorry.
Digression, yeah.
That was bad.
Nah,
ahead.
you know, I think to help other people, well, and then the other thing, you know, there might be an ascension wave coming through now, and some people, David Wilcock, as an example, would say that you have to be 51, or well, I guess he's getting this from the law of one. Or
Dolores
Ross.
Cannon said the same thing too, 51%.
Right.
You have to be 51% service to others in order to make the ascension grade. And I would say,
So who judges the 51%? Is that physical or mental action? What percentage is what?
well, yeah, I'm kind of hoping it's an energy work, because then I'm in.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Your energetic signature will tell basically whether you're
Right, there you go,
51%
there
or
you go.
not.
Like,
And
does
with
your
Dolores
presence
Cannon,
in a
it-
room hurt someone or not? Hurt
Well,
someone or help them?
It's a reflective universe, and as you give, you will get back. So karma is not just a rule; it's a law. You know,
Right, it's cause and effect. I mean,
cause and
it's,
effect, exactly. So I guess that makes sense. And yeah, your own actions will determine if you're at 51%.
So I have a weird question. So why are we all still here? Why are we all still here? You know, it's why have we not gone anywhere? Why are we
because
all
we're
still
waiting
here?
for the critical mass to catch up right
Yeah.
now.
Thank you.
The longer we wait,
We
more
are-
and more people are
whether we can
wakening up.
ascend in a body.
Once that critical mass gets reached, that means that many more people will come along with us. So
And
you know,
so
and
is there,
when you look back at this, you
I
don't want to say, well, shit, we left so many people behind because I wanted to leave early. You know, that's selfishness. So we want to be here as long as we can to help those people, bring them along, and
I'm a
make as
firm
many people
believer-
come along with us.
And we,
I'm a firm believer this is the best time to be alive, simply because I am
Oh,
alive
yeah.
right now. I am alive.
no,
I really
that's
don't need
ego,
any
Doug.
more reason than that. I am here. I am experiencing
No.
this world. I evolved from this world. I grew from this world. My family, my world, everything is from this world. And
So
I'm
you're
going to
contributing.
enjoy everything I can and
You're
learn. and grow
contributing
and-
to the creator, Doug. You are
Yeah,
contributing to the
exactly.
creator with your imagination.
Exactly.
Magi nation, you are
Exactly. If I can
Yes.
imagine, exactly. If they imagine this entire freaking universe, then there's no limits to
Right,
what we can
right.
also imagine while we're here living this life we think
That's
we're
right.
living. And
That's right.
and that's my pact to myself. You know, I'm gonna enjoy this world as much as I
are
can.
we not here to hold the light and space for those who are still trying to reach that point?
Well,
Definitely.
yes, Mary, we
Super-
are,
super-
we are. And so when you go out, when you do your daily routine, that's what you do. You go out and you show the light in your face and you spread the light, right?
And hold space for those yet to come.
Right.
Hubris aside, I mean, to think that I actually, hubris aside, if I died right here and now in front of all of you, nothing would change in this world. You know, in
I
other
would
words,
laugh.
me too. So my essence here is really not necessary for this world to keep on going. My essence here only matters to me and my family around me and what I give unto that. But you know,
I
so
kind of
so so
disagree with. I
I
kind of
I
just,
disagree
disagree
with
with
that.
him too, Mary. I disagree. Come on,
Yeah.
Doug. No
If
way.
we
well,
are all
I-
one,
Right. No,
then we
Yeah.
are
So what
part
if
of
that
it
means part of
your
us dies?
essence. Right.
collectively.
I mean,
So
the energy
no.
of it, the energy of it, Doug. If you died right before my eyes, that would affect me. That would affect
Right.
me greatly. I would feel like, what? I should have been there. I should have sent some energy. I could have stopped this. You know,
okay,
you
I'm
can't-
going
each
to
person-
further expand upon what I was saying because I didn't expect that kind of reaction, but I understand the reaction. I do. And truly, I really don't, that isn't how I live my life. I know that my impact here is meaningful. I'm not, but hubris aside, I mean, if I put my ego aside about who Doug is, literally, if you took this Doug out of this equation, would you guys quit asking the same questions? Would you quit doing the same old things? No. All right. It doesn't say that mine isn't impactful, but it doesn't change anything. This
I don't
world is
know.
really
I
expansive.
disagree. It is impactful. Your feedback, your experience, what you've seen today, what you learned, it is impactful. Anything that comes into your soul is impactful to Gaia, to the galaxy, to the ethers. No, I disagree because anything you do, say, think, positive or negative or whatever, is part of the cosmos. So you are affecting things as you think, as you breathe, as you imagine. So no, I disagree. You're part of the fractal. So no, because you are here, you are part of the fractal. So I
I
disagree.
am a synapse, a part of the fractal. You are correct. And I didn't mean to diminish that by no means. And that really wasn't my intent, but it still is just a fractal, and the fractal is all part of the whole. And
Oh, that's
therefore
true.
the whole continues on regardless of what each fractal does. And I'm
That's
not
true.
diminishing my fractal because goodness, I look at the world around me and I see the impact my fractal has had.
Thank you.
But I don't, you can't let that go to your head to think I'm here to make a difference, because my difference is subtle and it waves out on its own without me having to stay here and stamp my feet to say I'm making a difference because it already is happening.
So you're
If
just
that makes-
saying kill the ego and contribute is what
and keep on doing as I'm doing. Exactly.
Right,
Exactly.
right.
Keep on carrying on. Exactly, Mundo. Exactly.
Right.
Which is all we're all doing. And I really, and as much as I fear death, I don't want to die. I think it's my ego that fears the death. Because how hard can death really be? Everyone's doing it, you know. And I say
Well,
that tongue in cheek, you know. But
it's apparently not painful.
don't
There's
Maybe-
nothing to fear, really.
please do not fear
Well,
death.
thank you, Greg.
yeah, I'm believing that deep down. But still, those human emotions still affect all of us when it comes right down to thinking about it. You know, it's, you know.
I
But
don't-
Getting back to that 51%
Oh.
that we were talking about earlier, the 51% with the law of one is service to self versus service to others. So if you're 51% service to others, you're good to go. And the 51% with Dolores Cannon was if you are 51% positive person. If you've lived a 51% positive life, that's all you need to do. So it's a little bit different, the 51%, but it's still a correlating number between both trainings, philosophies, beliefs that, and it doesn't take a lot to be 51%. Anyone that's watching or listening to this, you're good to go.
I think it's your true heart's desires too, because if you desire at least more than 51% good for people, then you're way over 51%. But if you desire anything bad for anyone else, you're under 50%, like that instantly, easily. If you have bad desires against other people, I'm sure that what your fractal is putting out is harming, and also you're definitely below 50%. So just the fact that most of the people on here and most of the people that are even affiliated with, I am 5D or in 5D, or trying to
Yes.
better themselves or stuff like that. We're way over that just without even trying. You guys, like, we're here to try and help people that are not even happy with being alive right now, and to delay it longer and longer, I think, so that more people can come with us. Because when we're done and celebrating, what we're gonna feel bad about is the people we didn't get to bring with us. Like, the more people that is, the more we'll probably be missing out on. So
I
I
bet
think we're all
fractally,
good.
I bet fractally speaking, if you broke it down, even for those that are what we would call unawakened, if they were asked, I bet they would all say, all of them, that they were 51% for the good.
Yeah,
bet
I think
everyone
so
I bet
too.
everyone would. And therefore, I think
I think
evolution
we've reached
continues.
critical mass, and we're
Yeah.
waiting to, because some of us want 100% of us to make it. I think I also secretly, I really want 100% of the people on Earth, except for maybe 5 to 10 people at the very elite top. Maybe 5 people don't make it.
Who's at the top of that list? I'm curious.
Those are a very certain 5 people at the
Have I
very,
made the
very
top
top.
10 yet?
No, no, not
Hey,
even close.
Doug.
Maybe the owners of
I'll work
this.
on it, man.
But I think that 100% maybe we want to try and get everybody to go, because secretly everybody does want good for each other, their fellow man next to them. We really do.
And I
all
think they
just wanna
even
have
think they
fun.
do it, even if they're not or not. They're doing it or not. I think everyone thinks they're doing it, even if they're really not. So yeah.
Yeah.
Because everyone
Yeah.
wants to do good. Everyone wants to do good. If you ask them,
So-
everyone wants to do good. You know.
So
Yeah.
if you guys have ever experienced your total bliss, if you have ever experienced your total bliss, you would want that for everyone.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know, the way
Yeah.
that
We
the
do.
way the quote unquote others have explained it to me, unfortunately, there will always be conflict. I mean, I don't want to say war, but there will always be conflict as long as there are differences of opinion, which is actually entertaining in a way to the creator, because if everything was exactly the same, it would be a drag. It would be like somebody told me one time, they said, well, if we both agree on everything, then one of us is not necessary. So, you know, because there's no challenge and it's not exciting and there's no learning and there's no growing. So that's cool. But I mean, once you go through your awakening and you experience your total bliss, then you want that for everyone. I mean,
You know, that's hitting the nail on the head. The polarity and duality that we experience here, when we were on the other side, that's non-existent. We almost forget about what it was like to have that, you know, contrast and comparison, you know, this
Oh,
and
right.
that versus that, in versus out, you know.
Right,
It's exciting to come here and to have those challenges, because we want
Right.
to help and we want to make differences in people's lives, and that enriches
Right.
our own lives and helps our own spiritual progression.
That's right. That's right. Because if everything was static and we were all alike, then it would be a drag. There would be no learning, no imagination, no excitement, no bliss. How could you feel, see, touch, do the next thing if everything was constant? That would be a drag. I mean, think about it. If you were the creator yourself, that would be a drag. You'd be like, okay, well, I got up today and everything's the same again. How boring is that? What can I create? Right?
Right. That's you
Yeah.
know we're in
Let's put a little devil over here and see what he can do. Maybe he'll start a revolution.
Challenge. That's right.
Huh. That sounds like something I would do, actually.
Well,
I'm
I'll-
going to open up the chat room once again.
What Allison had to say about the 51%, and it is, I think, how many of your thoughts are to the positive? You know, wanting the best out of people, being the best you can, or how much of it is, oh, I really hate that. I really hate what you did. Rah, 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 rah. You know, so how much time are you spending in between those two extremes? So that's the thing you want to make sure your vibe is up. So that's key in all.
Yeah. Anytime you start with saying I hate something, is you're off kilter. You know?
Well, you're bringing it. You don't want to bring that. You don't want
Yeah,
to bring
yeah.
the negative vibes. I mean, there's enough negative vibes out here. If we're here to help, we're here to help smother the negative vibes.
I
I
mean,
was in New York City a few years ago. The first time I went there with my wife, it's been about 10 years now. And she had a meeting in the morning, so she went to bed early. It was like 10 o'clock at night, and I went down to the bar in the hotel, and I'm sitting there drinking a beer off in a corner table, watching an NBA basketball game on TV, and these two women come walking in, and they go hi and start waving at everyone, and I ignore them. And for some reason, one of them comes over to me and says, "Are you being antisocial?" And I looked at her and says, "Well, I'm like Mother Teresa. I'm not anti anything." You know, I thought to me it was a great line, but what you were saying reminded me, I'm not anti anything. You know, she actually sat down and talked to me, and she was a girl of the night. She was a prostitute. Said she was from Pittsburgh, and I told her, I said, "Well, I'm just having a beer, but thanks for stopping by." You know, but it was pretty funny. But you know,
That's why
if you
the
hate
introvert.
something, I'm not anti anything. I'm not anti-war. I'm for peace, like Mother Teresa. You know, I'm for peace. But war, being anti-war is like being anti-mosquitoes. You know, so what? So anyway, yeah.
I'm also anti-mosquitoes.
Hey, I'm in
Mosquitoes.
Minnesota, and it's our state bird.
I'm in
Mosquitoes here.
Florida. I know where all the mosquitoes live, right outside my
Oh.
door.
No-see-ums, anti-no-see-um.
No, see, that's awesome.
Yeah, those
Yep.
two. I can't let any sand get in, and it still gets in. And if a piece of sand gets in, there they are.
well, this is what the advantage of living in the Pacific Northwest. Even though it's wet here, we get enough
Yeah.
weather in the winter. At least we have one season when there are no mosquitoes.
No mosquitoes. You're lucky,
Yeah.
man. Shit, we got God. They're terrible here.
No one outside right now.
Well, our
So I'm
winter's
gonna
killed.
I'm gonna unmute all the people that are here with us in Zoom. If anyone else wants to
I'll
jump
be
in
back.
and tell us about what led to your awakening, you're more than welcome to do so. So you guys, everyone's unmuted. Feel free to jump in, or else we're going to continue chatting, and that's a good thing too.
Okay, I'll start with my awakening. My mom
please.
died. My mom died, and I didn't realize it because they had called me to the hospital, and when I left there, I came home and I felt this strange feeling, and I had to pull over, and something whooshed through my body, and I had not unknowingly, Greg, originally asked my spirit guides when I was a kid to come back after my parents were gone because I didn't want to freak them out. So after my mom died, this thing went through my body. And after I saw all these orbs and all kinds of things happened. And my awakening included just having like a total night of bliss. And you do have to go through the dark night of the soul, though. I mean, that is part of the awakening. So if you don't know that, you have to go through that. But one of the things that really helped me is I had some angelic guides that came to me, and they said, when you start going through this, what you do is you find someone who is really a good friend of yours, who you know, who loves you, who will stand by you no matter what, and you confess it to them. This is the one bad thing I did in my life. And they will love you and still accept you. And when you go through that, then you get to the other side and you get to feel the total bliss. And then you want to share it. And that's basically what my awakening was like. Anybody else?
Well, no. You're not off the hook on that. Sorry.
We need more
Ask me
information.
questions. Okay, well, you can ask me questions if you want. What other information? Ask questions, please.
I
Well,
want to know
like
why
the one question I've asked
Who's talking? I'm
that I've
sorry.
asked everyone is, what advice would you give if somebody that's just awakening right now? What advice would you give to that person?
Well, you need to find somebody, a trusted friend. I would think you would find someone, like I said, a trusted friend, somebody that you know, whatever that is to you, your spouse, your neighbor, your whatever, your best friend. And then you talk to them about it because they're not going to reject you. No matter how strange you sound like you're talking, they're not going to reject you. So you can actually discuss it with them. And I don't know. Yeah, give me some more questions.
I think that's very important, Mary, because I happen to have had two very good friends personally that I was able to, as I read and learned and saw these things, I shared it with them and we talked about it. And to me personally, it helped a lot not to have to just keep it all within, to get it out there.
Right.
So I think having someone, if you get that one or two people that you can share it with, by all means do so. Because
Yes, I think that's extremely powerful. Right,
It
Doug?
is. Yeah.
Same thing, same thing. The teaching, learning. You're teaching,
Right.
you're
Right.
learning. They're listening, you're listening.
Even if you're unaware of it, it's happening. It's going
Right.
on. Exactly. Right.
Right. And it
I
doesn't
wanna
matter.
ask-
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I wanted to ask, why do you feel you have to go through the dark night of the soul first?
Well, because they're, because when we, I didn't used to feel that way, but everybody has some baggage. And when we were put here, we had karma that we thought we had to deal with. Well, that's all kind of entrapment. And there's no entrapment now. We are free because we are going into 5D and beyond. And whoever seated us here knows that we are ready to progress. And so in order to progress, you cannot take anything evil with you into the next dimension. What you wouldn't want it anyway. You would not want to take anything dark, anything evil. If you were going to grow and expand and open your heart, you don't want anything dark in there. So you have to let it go. And you don't need that karma. And we don't realize how powerful we are that we can actually just let go of it. We can tell the karma, no, I'm done. No more karma. So you don't want to take that with you.
Well, I
I've
mean,
actually written
I felt
written
like
poems
I
about that.
didn't
Man.
have my serious dark night of the soul until about 20 years after my peak experience. And I feel like I'm relearning it over again. I know everyone's experience is different. So I
Mary,
don't
what
know.
was
I
your
mean,
what was your peak experience, Mary?
you
what
missed
was
it
it?
in the beginning.
I did.
So
So
And
you
you can have
shared it. I'll
multiple
have to go
dark nights
back.
of the soul. You could have one,
Yes, you
5 years
can,
ago and then
Greg.
one last year,
Yes, you
like I had.
can. Yes, you can. Yes, you
yes,
can.
exactly. I've been a
Yes, you
few
can.
of them, as a matter of fact.
Yes,
So,
you can.
I think that awakening and it has many peaks and valleys, I believe.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
in each one, we peak more. And I don't know what the end of that would be, but it's constant learning and relearning.
Oh no, there's no end.
That's exactly what A Course in Miracles did for me personally. As I read through the entire text of the book, I take periods off, and I in my real life I'd go through highs and lows. And each time I went back to the book, it explained in my mind what I had just done to myself in the most amazingly brilliant, beautiful way. So, but I agree, the peaks and valleys do not change. They come and they go. This is what this world gives. As enlightened as you are, there's going to be ups and downs. In the story, it's how you deal with them. Like me, I'm absorbed them all. I go, this is just what it is. Let's enjoy it as much as it sucks being down right now. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Another term you could use here would be shadow work,
Yes.
a Jungian term. And
yes, shadow work.
It's got to be constant. I mean, this is the way I say I'm constantly evolving, constantly awakening. Because every time I hit a low spot, then I got to dig into my shadow and say what's going on here. I get triggered. What's triggering me? And the thing to do is to look at that and love it and forgive it, and then try to integrate it. That's the alchemical thing to do, right? Is integrate this stuff or
Yeah.
cycles.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's funny too that it takes a little while for us to learn, but in time we realize that what we're putting out there is getting mirrored back. The things that we need to learn. I had, for example, an affinity to type A personalities. My mother was a type A controlling personality, and I, kept getting with women that were type A controlling personalities. Wife number 2, as a matter of fact, was born on the same day as my mother. This is how the universe works. Yeah, you haven't learned your lesson yet, Greg.
That would have been a warning
that's born
sign.
on the same day as your mother.
Yeah.
Type A
That looks like-
personality. And yeah, so I keep getting in these relationships with controlling women, and it's not working. But that's mirroring back to me what it is I need to learn. So you look at it as a blessing.
Absolutely.
Interesting.
That's the challenge, Greg. That's you. That's just, I remember years ago, one time I watched, I think it was called The Bachelor or something. And this guy had an opportunity for all these beautiful, loving women. And he picked the hardest, challenging person that he could. And I was like, what on earth is up with that? Because he just did. I'm like, that other blonde person loved him way more, but no, he picked the hardest, most difficult challenge that he could. And so I never watched the show again until I wrapped my mind around it. So it was interesting. So you like the challenge. You need to expand your mind, right?
Yeah, he was being smart, really.
Well, yeah, because then he was going to grow, Phil, right?
So much growth through that he's going to
Right.
many
He was
lifetimes.
going to grow. That's right. You are right. Grow. That's right.
We need some more stories.
Yeah, we do have new people that are here. So, I'm going to once again unmute everybody that's here. And if somebody wants to jump in, Desley, there you go. Thank you. I was going to say, we were just looking at your forehead again.
Sorry, I'm here.
That's okay.
I'd like to know if
Get Paul to speak up.
Yeah, Paul, as a matter of fact, we have articles from Paul. Paul's an amazing writer, and you'll see his articles on N5D.
I
suggest that
love you.
follow him if you haven't already on Facebook.
I thought
Thank
I'd
you.
pop in. I've just been listening in a little bit on what's been spoken about. So thank you, everybody, for your contributions.
Thanks for making it
Nice to
here,
meet you
Paul.
all. That's all right. Well, I'm in Thailand at the moment. I'm normally in the UK, but I spent the last 2 years in Thailand. And I spent some time in India as well. I was studying in India Sanskrit, and I've been learning Sanskrit's connection with light language as the first primary language on earth. So a lot of research there, and I've been researching languages. But you were talking about the awakening process. I think that's the important side at the moment.
Yes.
Awakening for me started back in 2009. It's actually the 14th of June 2009 at 3:33. I always it's like yesterday, because it was a full-on, for me it was a full-on Kundalini awakening. Now, I was corporate, I was financial, I was in the city of London before, completely left brain. So Kundalini, what's that? I had no spiritual background at all. So I'm just going to say it started for me with reading a book called The Celestine Prophecy I'd read many, many years before, James Redfield. And I'd read the book and thought, well, whatever's in that book, I'm going to do. So sometimes we need a trigger. Sometimes we need to hear something from somebody. There's always a trigger. There's always what I call a pivotal moment that takes place. And that's normally, you find that somewhere in everybody's journey, that awakening process. A lady earlier on mentioned about the death of her mother. And that, yes, the death around you is a very big awakening process, part of the awakening process. So, and somebody else was mentioning about the journey into the dark night of the soul. Well, the dark night of the soul and the awakening process, the two extremes, will happen many, many times. For each frequency that you move through has a dark side and a light side. So one needs to explore all of that. A gentleman earlier on mentioned about his shadow self and about the challenges and the extremes. This is ongoing. This doesn't stop. The whole journey under the law of one, the whole journey of life is to be here and set yourself challenges to overcome. And whether that presents itself as dark nights of the soul, or whether that presents itself as bliss. I know somebody mentioned bliss as well. I've been listening for a little while. So I didn't want to talk forever. I just wanted to say.
No, we're enjoying it. Just keep going. When you said Kundalini, the lights in my dining room went out. So keep going.
Well, it tends to have that effect. Kundalini is this sort of this mystery thing that, you know, oh, you should avoid it. It's dangerous. It's
No,
it's the primal energy within every single person.
right.
It's not a mystery. The mystery is why it's not spoken about more, why it's not become mainstream, why
I
it's not
think
taught
people are
to the
afraid of
medical
it, Paul.
practitioners.
Once you feel that, you're like, what happened to me? I'm not sharing it. So that's, yeah, no.
The very fact it's not spoken about or taught by medical practitioners, by biologists, by scientists, it's because it cannot be seen or found within the body being energy.
Oh, but you
That's
could
what we call
feel it.
primal energy. When primal energy meets with primal consciousness, that's the mixture of the
Yes.
Kundalini. This is in a way, that's the start of the spiritual journey. The rest of it is information, finding your
Yes.
way towards that spiritual connection. What is spirituality? That's like using the word religion. Everybody has their own definition. Everybody has their own way of trying to understand what is happening to them and those other people around them. This is why I thought I'd join in when I saw Greg's title about, let's talk about the awakening process, because it's unique. And just because we are all unique, everybody has a contribution. And it's beautiful when we get a gathering like this together. And thank you, Greg, for that, for creating the opportunity. Otherwise,
Oh, I
how would
agree.
we get to talk in this way,
I
to
know.
communicate,
The
and pass
energy
on
is
ideas,
amazing.
and to say thank you for everybody contributing, having
Thank
their
you.
part.
I
in
agree
this.
wholeheartedly. Thank you all. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are some of the most important lessons that you've learned along the way, Paul, since your awakening?
Challenges. Every single person you meet is a teacher. They wouldn't be in your life otherwise.
Oh, that is awesome.
Well, every single
Teacher.
person reflects back to you who you are. If you walk into, I say many times, if you walk into a coffee shop, and I will on a plane. I normally, when I'm in the airport lounge, when I'm traveling, work out who I'm going to be sat next to, because the energy is there. You can project forward the energy. It doesn't, I don't want to make it sound like some kind of miracle.
Elitist?
You work out the energy projected forward as to who you're going to be connected with, sat next to on the plane. So that energy is already presenting itself there to you in the airport lounge with people in front
I
of
would
you.
be putting it out there that nobody's sitting next to me.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
It
that would
makes for
never
some very
happen,
interesting-
Greg, because people would be so totally attracted to your light that you would have to put a wall between you and the chair. So forget that.
It's just interesting
I
to
don't
do.
know.
You look around and you work out, right, who's going to be sat next to me.
You know, that's
To such a
interesting, Paul.
degree.
I've never thought of it that way. I've always let it play out as it played out. In other words, I always thought of it as I'll just see who I end up next to and see how that energy goes.
It's
Right,
fun.
Doug. Me too.
Instead of thinking ahead of time, like projecting who I'd rather sit by, or I let it play out, even if it's the worst person there. I go, all right.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, it's going to play out either way, every time.
It's the same way, yeah. Same as same, right?
But what you're doing is you're learning how to use time and space.
Right.
You're learning how to, that's the manifesting process, is that somebody is going to be sat next to you. And all you're doing is you're looking at the energy itself of the moment to see where the connections are. I live in the middle of the Thai jungle. So I'm in a hut in the jungle. So I get the chance to sit in the jungle and just connect with the energy around me, so that you can start making predictions. This is when you start seeing cobras walk past. I say walk in their own way, or these giant monitor lizards and other things. So you're connecting with the energy around you. So you've got to take that complete stillness in the jungle and put it into an airport lounge and see what connections you can make with the energy around you. And I'm saying that process of connecting with people also triggers the pivotal moments in awakening other people around you. That's the point I wanted to make here. The person sat next to me on the plane, I have an hour or so to have a chat. I don't necessarily launch straight into things. But what you find is the other people around, this is the part I wanted to add, the other people around you also are listening in, because you can see them tilt their head and that's an interesting. So I'll tap them on the shoulder, the person in front, and say, what do you think? And the
That
person
happens
next to me
with
on this
me and
side,
my
I
friends
go,
all the, all right.
yeah,
Let me
I go,
ask
what
you,
do you
Paul,
think
are
about
you an
that?
extrovert?
Yeah, go on.
It's a lot easier to have those conversations if you're an extrovert. But if you're an introvert like me, I'm like, don't say
No, I'm
anything to me.
introverted too. No.
There are times. I mean, you've got to remember, I prefer time on my own. I can spend weeks or months in remote locations with nobody around at all. That's fine. But given the opportunity, when you feel the energy flowing, you've got the opportunity to meet others and discuss and join them in. Yes, on those occasions, I'm the one sat on the plane with, you've got 8 or 10 people around you, all having a conversation, all at the same time. So yeah, I suppose you could say an extrovert to that point. But again, the Kundalini decides. That's the whole point. Kundalini energy tells you when to keep your mouth closed and when to join in, when there's an openness. All right.
So it's almost as if, you know, what I kind of do when I go to the beach, I envision that there's 3 parking spots available to this one beach access that I go to, and there's only 20 total parking spots available. But I always imagine that the top 3, the closest to the beach, are available waiting for me.
Yeah,
so
parking angels. Yeah, use that every time. Use that for a supermarket trolley that just happens to be next to your car when you turn up in the car park. All right. Use that to plan the journey through, you know, when you're picking your food out, and then, you know, the right people are at the right time. If you set that intention is how we manifest things. And people don't use that enough. They don't know that they can.
And this is all part of the manifestation process that we're working on.
Yeah.
We're right now in kindergarten or pre-K actually, and we're learning how to manifest. And I can manifest a parking spot like that. It's easy to do. But what we're working toward is where thoughts become instant manifestations. And that's
years ago I started doing many experiments. I would send people thoughts and then sit back and see what happened. And I didn't even expect anything to happen, but I sent them thoughts, and invariably when I did that, it would come back. They had the same thoughts, and it was like they're talking to me about their idea of the thought that I had sent them that they had never thought of before. You know, so there's intent has everything to do with it. Your intent.
I would say, if you think of it, sorry to interrupt, but if I'd say, rather than think of it as a thought, because thought can be internal and external, if you think of it as energy packets, programmed packets of energy that you're projecting outwards, you're onto a point of focus. All right. So that's like a memo that you've just written out all your thoughts on a piece of paper and handed to somebody, but you're doing it in energetic form. All right, so you have your own internal thoughts and you have what you send out. So I agree that it's a manifesting process.
Yeah, and how you word it, the balls of energy, I agree wholeheartedly, but semantics is all I'm getting at. I understand that conceptually perfectly, because they are.
But semantics is important to be able to describe the process. That's why.
Right. And my semantics were different, so right, but it's the same thing. So. Yeah.
I'm just going to put it out there. I wonder if people, you know, what people's opinion is of this when we do start getting, when the manifestation process picks up and comes faster and faster, which it's doing right now. Do you think there's going to be maybe we have guides or guardian angels that would prevent us from doing something that might not be the best thing? I mean, sometimes we get angry. If you're in traffic and somebody cuts you off, you might go, "You asshole," or whatever, you know, and you might say something you might regret. You know, yeah, that guy's an asshole. I wish he was dead. And bam, you know, you don't mean it, but you know, you might say something stupid. And I wonder if there's if our guides or something will have like a 5-second delay on manifestations. So we're not going to do or say something stupid.
Wow.
Well, interestingly, when I started putting a shield around them. In other words, I put a shield around them. I said, I say these things like, "You idiot," but I put a shield around it not to actually hit them. You know, does that make sense?
Yeah.
I extend it out, but then I go, no, don't actually go into their aura because I don't really mean that.
Don't
I don't
go
know if that matters or not, but that's how I handle
You're awesome, Doug. Oh, you
That's
know what?
proof that you're way over 51%.
it.
You know, the problem with that, Greg, is this is what I was told by my guides, that there is free will. And I actually told a friend of mine, they said we are verboten, which means we're forbidden to interrupt your free will. So like you said before, we are kind of here as an experiment. And they can kind of guide us, but they cannot jump in and do things or make decisions for us. They can guide you. Like if you're doing something stupid like smoking or drinking or driving badly, they could say, hey, you might want to not do that, but they can't prevent you. And that's the free
Now,
will.
one thing I can tell you though is that feeling that I had when I saw when that white flash hits the
Right.
planet. You have that feeling of unconditional love to a
Oh,
magnitude
I've
never
had
felt
that
before.
too. But
When
it's
you
pretty
feel that,
incredible.
there's no way possible that you would ever think about doing anything bad or hurtful to another person. When you feel
No.
love, like I said, the thing I love the most on this planet is my daughter, and to magnify that kind of love a million
Right.
times, I wouldn't want to call anyone an asshole or say, I wish you were dead. Or when you feel love, that's the last thing. You don't
I
care
agree,
about
Greg.
government,
The
politics,
role
religion, none
certainly,
of that stuff.
I agree. The role certainly is
Absolutely.
to transmute the energy that passes through you into love. That is the role. That is
Well,
the
that's good,
spiritual
Paul.
journey. Whatever challenge comes along, whoever you meet, whatever circumstance
Yes.
comes up, your role in
That
that
is good.
moment is to transmute it and transform it from the lower states of vibration into love. Okay, because that's the
Oh, that's
ultimate
awesome.
energy.
Powerful. Yes. Totally.
Yes.
Totally. That's
Whatever
the power.
circumstance you're in, that's the role in the moment. That's the observation that you make in that moment.
I have sort of an anecdotal story. It reminded me of one time I had finished meditating and was feeling quite blissful. And I decided, oh, I'm going to send love out to the world. And I'm sitting there in my little peaceful state, and the phone rings, and I pick it up, and it was an obscene phone call. I will never forget, because I'm like, I'm sending out all this
What are you
Too
love,
wearing?
strong, Mary.
and this is what I get back.
That person needed love in that moment. That's
Sorry,
why they rang you.
I didn't hear
Did
you.
you-
Sorry.
That person needed to be loved in that moment.
Right,
Please, they know
and that's
it.
what I
If they
did.
didn't
That's
know
what
it.
that's exactly
you
what I
keep-
did. I sent
did you
love,
keep-
but I thought that was like, oh, thank you.
That's
Did you
hilarious.
keep
Send
talking
love,
to
and
him?
that's what I get. Anyway, it just reminded me of that. Sorry.
That's
Oh,
funny.
that's funny.
This is why the shadow work is important.
Yes.
Sorry to remind you about an obscene phone call you received. My apologies.
No, I mean, it was kind of strange.
But thank you. Right, you bring that story. So it happened to you, and this is important. Something that happened to you, you've now shared with 10 people.
Right.
So we now all have an opportunity, all right, regardless of time and space, to send love to that particular person right now. That's what I'm talking about.
Love and healing.
Understand.
The gentleman that spoke earlier on about thoughts and sending it to other people, there's the power. We can do it right now. And that will go off to that person right now. If we
It's
Oh,
already
yeah.
done.
turn what
Yeah.
we've heard
Done.
back into love.
Yeah.
Already done. Already done. Yes. Already done. Already done. That's right, Greg. Already
Presenting us
done.
with that opportunity.
Bam.
Good point. Thank you.
This is good stuff. This is why I love having these kind of chats, man. We
Oh,
all
it's
learn
so
something,
good.
figure stuff out, have a few laughs along the way. Heck yeah. I'm totally digging this.
Awesome.
Which reminds me, my next one is going to be coming up, I think on Friday. And the title of this one is going to be something along the lines of, I can't believe this happened to me. Because everyone's
Oh.
got these stories that will
Wow.
blow everyone's minds.
So cool.
Yeah, so
so
that's going to be a
cool.
fun, that's going to be a fun show.
Oh, good. I'm already
I'm
ready.
gonna have
You
a
got another
problem
one with
figuring out which one to talk about.
Greg, could you repeat that? I didn't hear it because someone walked into my house. What's going on Friday?
So Friday, I think it's going to be 7 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to have another chat here. And the topic is going to be, I can't believe this
Oh,
happened to me. because we've all had
Oh,
those
yeah.
situations.
Oh, yeah.
Orbs,
Oh,
beings,
yeah.
Cool.
light beings, UFOs, extraterrestrials, channeling,
Yes.
everything. It's going to be a fun show.
Yes. Oh,
Goodness.
that's awesome. Awesome.
Cool. All right. Yeah.
You've got another show with Todd as well, haven't you, Greg? Coming up. Is that
Well,
tomorrow?
we're actually doing a beach meetup tomorrow
Yeah.
here on Siesta Key at
Are you
7
recording?
o'clock. I think it's going to be recorded. My phone doesn't really record very long, so if anyone's going to record it, it'll probably be on Todd Medina's Soulology page.
Okay.
Soulology page, right? But
Yeah.
How far are you from where I'm at? And I'm right in Daytona Beach. I'm in the middle of Daytona
Flower.
Beach.
Well, I used to drive from Riverview. I would take my daughter to Daytona Beach. We'd spend the weekend there, and I'd get there in under 2 hours. But I have a lead foot.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I'm still off because my thumb, my stitches.
Yeah.
I was
You
just
guys
thinking,
are a very important area at the moment.
I don't know.
With the
How'd you get
with the
stitches in
Bimini
your
fire
thumb?
crystal. Oh, sorry, Karen.
He
What was that, Paul?
was just talking. Go ahead.
I was just saying you guys are in a very important area at the moment with regard to the fire crystal, the Atlantean fire crystal, which has come back online, which is at Bimini off the coast, Bahamas. It was the one causing all the problems with the Bermuda Triangle with the disappearing ships. So there is a giant crystal, Atlantean crystal, that is coming back online. The energies are very, very prevalent. So there's a lot of work to do around Miami, California, off the coast, the Florida Keys. A lot of energy to absorb and ground through in that area. So it's a focal point for me at the moment from what I'm picking up. So you're in exactly the right place.
There's a major Stargate right here off the coast in Sarasota.
right.
The Atlantean Stargate. I'm sorry, Atlantis Stargate is right off the coast here in Siesta Key.
That's right. The energies are very, very strong, and that coming from that, I'm picking up a lot from that at the moment. I will be doing some articles on it too, so maybe we can collaborate or something. But yeah, that's good. So you've got that meeting with Todd, and that's sorry to just add that. I was just interested in that. So that will be at when? 7
Tomorrow
o'clock.
at 7 o'clock.
Tomorrow.
I'll probably get
That'll
there
be-
early. I'll bring my guitar.
That'll be early morning for me. You're 7 o'clock in the evening, is it?
Yeah, right. Well, right now it's 12 p.m.
Yeah, I'm 12 hours ahead of you.
So it'd be like 3 hours ago. That your time, whatever time it is there, 3 hours
Yeah,
ajako.
I'm 12 hours ahead of you. So at the moment,
Oh,
so
okay.
that's
So yeah.
in the morning. Yeah. Okay.
Great. Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm sure, like I said, I bet Todd will have it. I'll try to put some of it on while I'm there, but on my Facebook page. So
Well, just your guitar music would be awesome.
you guys have heard that before. You want to hear hard rock. You want something more meditative, something more soothing.
Oh, I'm kind of open to all genres.
Something acoustic, right?
Oh no, it's electric, and it's like Hendrix and
Oh, well, okay. I'm still cool. I'm cool with any music because it's all about the creator. So that's awesome.
It's about how it makes you feel, the vibration. You know, I could be
vibration.
listening to Van Halen's "Ain't Talking About Love," which is the antithesis of everything we're going for. Or don't tell me you love me by Night Ranger. But if the feel good, the message of the song, the feeling overrides whatever the lyrics
Still
are.
the same.
It makes
That's
you feel
right.
good.
That's
It makes
right.
you exude love despite the
right.
lyrics.
That's
all that
right.
matters.
That's
So.
right. Awesome.
I like
Well,
Diane
I'm
Wood
gonna
from
agree with
South
that.
Africa.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you there, Greg. Lyrics do matter.
They might.
Well,
Some people can look at it as spelling. I
Words
don't
are
see it that way.
spells, baby. What you put out there, just like your thoughts, have immense power.
Well, you're right, Phil. You're right. Because when I get music, it's from my spirit guides and it's all about the lyrics. It's mostly about the lyrics. And most of my songs that I get are all about love. So cool.
All there is the word, according to the Bible. In the beginning was the word. Is that how
The
it
word.
says? You know,
I love
the
it.
word.
I love it.
So-
Yes. the
So words are powerful. I mean,
Yes,
even
they
in
are.
the Jewish Kabbalah, they have a way of numerology that really blew my mind when I first heard it. In fact, I need to do a little bit more research on that.
Yeah, the Kabbalah.
Yeah. What does it say? In the
But
beginning
Right.
is
That's where
the
it's
word.
at.
The
baby.
beginning was the
But that's
word.
just a
In the
category.
beginning was the word, and the word was God. Is that how it goes?
Yeah.
That's
But
cool.
it's vibration.
Yeah.
What we're talking about here is vibration, whether it's in the form of
Yes.
music,
Exactly.
lyrics, the word,
Thought
all
communicated
of it
vibration.
is vibration, and the vibration is around sacred geometry. And this is the light language of the universe. This is a
Sacred
lot of the
and
study that
light
I've been doing.
language.
So
Yes. Yes.
yeah, it's all about
I
vibration.
speak light language. Yes.
Mhm.
And
have.
you know, you're familiar with Michio Kaku, right?
have.
He's a scientist.
This is
and
my
so when he did,
this is the new dictionary of light language called the vibrationary, which I'm bringing out.
oh, cool.
All
Oh,
right. So
yes.
All right.
Awesome.
Do you have
Write
it in
it
an audio?
down.
Paul, tell people how they can get that. Where they
Huh.
can.
that's still work in progress at the moment.
Vibrational.
This is also using Sanskrit. So I'll just give you an idea. I'll just give you a little. So it's work in progress.
Oh, that's so awesome. That's so awesome
What-
because you know the Schumann resonance the other day came on and there was like a backward E on there. So I did some research on it and I posted it on my Twitter page. The E stands for epsilon, which means the axial tilt. So there's always messages even with that. So that is awesome because it's a Greek backward E. Epsilon.
Mhm.
That's what my guides
right.
told me. So cool.
Mhm.
I get
Nice.
light loads, but I don't know what they mean. It would be nice to know what they mean.
Yeah, I want to know
Light
if
language.
yours sounds
Light
like
language is the
mine.
primary language.
Or if,
Okay. Well, light language is the primary language. It's when babies talk, you've got mama, papa, dada. That's light language. Pa means love. Da is blessed. Ma is the self, the body. So you'll find these in all languages. I found it to be in Hindi, Sanskrit, Punjabi, Thai. It's Polynesian, Aboriginal, Native American. I mean, all my travels and studies have shown that light language is the beginning origin of all languages. In the beginning was the word. Well, there's words that come from within in the form of vibration that come from the heart. So this is the voice of the soul speaking, and it's not conversational language. You cannot translate it in terms of like you and I are doing. We're all speaking in English
passion.
because we understand the vibration of English.
It's passion. Right.
Yes. So it definitely comes from the heart, from the soul. And you can.
I have made a goal out of my poetry has been trying to capture those very things you were just saying couldn't be captured, and it's very, very challenging. But when I write poetry, a lot of them, that's what I was trying to do. So
that's perfect. Poetry is an excellent way of allowing it to flow through you.
Yeah, and I think it can be done, but it's hard, you know, because I think I've done it with some of them, but
that's your challenge.
It is.
That's
it's
your
my
soul
challenge, and I love it.
Got us.
Yeah, I've been a wordsmith all my life. I don't remember not being able to read or being taught to read, but I've been able to read forever, you know, and words.
Oh yeah. Well,
Just a little side note about epsilon. The epsilon is the 5th letter in the Greek alphabet.
Yes.
You have alpha, beta, gamma, delta,
delta, epsilon. Right.
5 change.
5D.
5.
Yes.
Yeah,
oh, that is so awesome. Oh man, I just had a moment. Okay, Greg, that was it. Cool.
And,
we just had a
and
moment.
the brainwaves as well. Remember the brainwaves. So the attunement to vibration is at the moment our understanding of brainwaves. If you see that as well, that's also alpha, beta, delta, theta, gamma, delta, epsilon.
Gamma, delta, epsilon.
That also is a measurement that we use to measure vibration. And when you move into epsilon, delta, gamma waves, then you start seeing how the Schumann resonance measures frequency as well. It's all about frequency.
Oh.
Let me ask you, Paul. Let me ask you about the Schumann resonance, and I'm going to go to this.
I know you're a big one on that. So.
Oh yeah. I'm going to go to the screen share in a sec here, but I want to ask you about what your opinion is of this. Let me screen share it. There we go. Share. So, okay, so here's the most recent, this is the up-to-date Schumann resonance right now.
Yeah, right
What,
there.
what we've been seeing on this, I'm going directly to the Russian
I
website.
saw
So we
that
see
today.
the baseline here for the 7.83. The Earth's resonance frequency right here is 7.83. Now what
Right.
we're seeing are here's a line right here at double the Earth's frequency at 16, and now we're starting to see lines down here at 32, 36, and approaching 40, which I've seen there as well. Is it possible, in your opinion, that these are, maybe this is the 5D Earth, or the new Earth, like Dolores Cannon said, they're merging together, and what we're seeing them is on a higher vibratory level at 16
What
hertz.
you're looking at is a graphic representation of an electronic measurement of frequency. Okay, so
Okay,
it's sound turned into vision from that point of view. Okay,
right.
so
Do y'all
when
do y'all think that's related to the shifting North Pole as well?
No, kind of.
I don't
Axial,
think so.
that's magnetic,
axial tilt.
that's electromagnetic. They're two different things.
Right.
What you've got there is
Well,
you've got
but-
electronic instruments measuring forms of frequency. It's done, as you know, it measures the electromagnetic energy around the Earth within the Van Allen belts and the cover
Right.
around the atmosphere.
Between the ground and the ionosphere.
Right.
yes.
Photon
Okay.
belt needs to
Below
be in
the
there.
Van
Yeah.
Allen belt,
And you-
actually.
When the electronic parts that measure, the measuring instruments, are overcharged, all right, when they have a spike, such as cosmic rays coming in, you'll get these big white spikes that appear because the actual measuring instruments are being overcharged. They're being overloaded. When they overload, they show the white spikes. So it's only when the frequencies move above what that particular part of the electronics is measuring do you get these white spikes. So the white spikes don't indicate a massive surge in that frequency. They measure an overloading in that frequency that's over and above. So 3D instruments, 3D electronics do not measure fifth dimensional frequencies. They're not capable of measuring it. All they can ever show is the fact they've been overloaded, the electronic circuits themselves.
Okay.
Hopefully that will make sense because I have written
So,
about this.
Well, that
Paul,
would
I
explain
got
the spikes,
I have a
but not
comment on
not the
YouTube.
lines across the horizontal lines. That's what he's talking about.
Yeah. Well, I'll get to that in a sec, but I have a comment in YouTube from Jeannie Griffin. She wants to know the name of the book that you wrote, and probably when it will be available.
Oh, yeah,
Okay, well, there was. I didn't want to use this as a plug. That wasn't the purpose. It was
No,
just to
that's
say
fine.
Yeah,
I encourage
good.
that.
Okay.
I
thank you.
encourage on my show. I encourage it. I want people. I
Okay.
want to help people.
Thank you. Oh, bless you. At the moment, there's a complimentary. This is a complimentary edition, first edition that was provided with a webinar that I did with Kalina Malnar regarding light language activation. And the purpose of that webinar was to introduce people to light language, and she does activations as well. She channels activation, which we've had many people begin to speak light language after the webinar. And I'm one all about tangibility. I'm not one to offer something just as like, hey, I'm going to switch on your 12-strand DNA. Unless mine's switched on, who am I to teach others? So I'm very much tangible, realistic, only offer what you can do yourself. All right. So this, the vibrationary, the voice of the heart. Thank you. Namo Namaha. Okay. Well, there's some key words there. You've got ko, which is to know, and you've got tor, which is to do with the heart. So you pick up key words that people use in their light language. So when you've got ko and tor, it's to know your heart is what you're part of what you just said.
That is so cool.
At the moment,
Wow.
So at the moment, the vibration is available with the webinar. One, I'm still working on it. There's a lot going into it. As I said, light language is not conversation. It's not something where you're talking about the need for how to sell something to somebody else, or marketing, or normal
No,
conversation.
it's passion.
It's
It's
purely-
passion. It's
as you
passion.
said, it's about
It's magnetics and passion.
it's about the soul
Your soul.
using
That's
words
right.
to convey vibration
Right.
in
Right.
different
Right.
states.
Right.
Okay? So as I said, a baby, when a baby's born, for example, you know, it will say papa. Now, it's funny that the male, the masculine energy then turns that into father, but papa actually is love. You'll hear that a lot in light language. Ka, which we know from the Egyptian, is the spirit. So you get a baby going dada, dada, and people go, "Oh, saying daddy." It means blessed. It's the energy as it comes through. The blessed energy comes through and forms the sound in the throat as da. And you find these words in every single language all around the world. They have the same consonants because the body is designed to create certain sounds. The back of the throat, the top of the palate, the frontal plate. And so different sounds create different vibrations. So if you want to activate somebody in higher frequencies, you use sound. You can use light language. So a specific set of frequencies can trigger somebody else's vibration flowing through them and enable them to start speaking, or their thoughts to start tuning. This is what's not taught at school. You're taught how to think, how to behave, the indoctrination. Light language frees that. This is why when a baby arrives, there's a new soul. It starts to speak light language as soon as it's born, because it's starting to learn how to bring sound from the heart, the passion, as the lady said, out into vibration. And what does it do? It's designed to attract the parents. And why? Because it speaks at the highest levels of vibration. Papa, love. Dada, I am blessed. Mama, I am in body form. Yes. So back to your question, it's work in progress, it's ongoing, but at the moment you can get a copy of it with the webinar, Light Language Activation, which is on my website, www.polarisab.com. Thank you very much. I hadn't intended that.
Now, getting back to what we were talking about beforehand, also, you know,
Yes.
the question is what do you think these lines are when we see the Earth's base resonance frequency, which we know is 7.83, and we see lines forming now that have been constant for quite a while here at 16, and we have been seeing them at the 30s. You can see one going across here, one going across here, and then more coming out down here. We're seeing higher frequency bands coming across that are, and it's got to be reflective of the energies that are coming in, if nothing
Oh yes,
else.
certainly reflective. I mean, but you need that electronic instruments needs to work on higher and higher and higher frequencies to get the more accurate picture. I mean, you've got, how many are there at the moment? 8 bands, I think they measure 8. There's 8 bands of frequencies, aren't there? That I think they measure with the instruments at the moment. So you've got PCBs here. You've got diodes. You've got other things that are measuring the frequency, how it's measured. So certainly, the more energy that is within the atmosphere, within one frequency, you're going to see that appear more and more on the charts. So it's certainly a good sign. It's the only way that we have at the moment of measuring spirituality on the planet, the Schumann resonance. It was designed to measure lightning activation around the planet and the electromagnetic, but we've interpreted it and used it to measure a form of spirituality. It's become the tool at the moment of.
Isn't it cool how
I mean, the reason it is, okay, I'm sorry, but the reason it is that connection is because our brains were vibrating at that rate. That's why that got connected. I mean, there's a scientific reason for this, in my mind.
Totally.
Isn't it cool how you can't say Schumann without including human? Human resonance.
Yeah. Well, who?
It's related.
Who. In light language, you've got who, ma, na. It's the 3 consonants. Who is source, ma is the body, and na is I am. So I am source in a body.
Wow.
So
that's
there we
awesome.
go. So we start to see the origin of all words. There you go.
Back to the power of the word too.
Yeah, totally. As you said, in the beginning was the word. So you mentioned about the Bible. The Bible talks specifically about the word. But you also see this, as you said, in the Kabbalah, the Torah, the Bhagavad Gitas, the Upanishads, the Vedas, you know, whatever the religious works, they all talk about, in a way, the word and vibration. So it's prevalent in all of them, all paths to the same mountaintop. That's what we find. So yeah, at the moment, the Schumann resonance certainly is a measurement of frequency, and that is primarily the main tool that we ourselves are using to go, what is changing in the world for us to see how spirituality is moving towards the fifth dimension, because we're still very, very prevalent in 3D. So most of spirituality, if we want to use that term, is internal. The frequencies are internal. How are we going to see that move into the world? Well, that's what's to come. It all depends on the frequency the individual is tuned into. As an individual moves through and expands their awareness of frequency, they themselves, as an individual, will move into fourth dimension, fifth dimension. So the planet is already fifth dimensional. All the energies are already there. All the frequencies are there already. We're not suddenly seeing them switch online. They're there. Our awareness of them is what's changing. Okay, that's the important part. Individual awareness. As you expand your frequency, you'll see that what exists in those frequencies is already there. The elementals. All right, we can start talking about the forms of the elementals. At the end of the day, they're frequency forms, same as we are. You can call the dragons if you want, the winged naga. This is the jinn, the dragon, there's many, many different names for how frequency takes form. Human is just a form of frequency that exists within a band of frequency. And there are others, so where the ETs are and the elementals are. They're forms.
What are the elementals?
Well, the elementals are nature spirit. This is the ordered intelligence of nature, of Gaia, the planet, the planetary body. All right, they take charge of nature. If you actually sit out in the jungle, you get to see and feel the elementals around you in terms of how the energy flows in all its different frequencies.
I think he wants to know what they are, like sprites, pixies, gnomes, stuff like that.
These are names.
No, not necessarily, Greg, but that's part of it. But I think Paul was hitting on what I
I'm sorry.
knew what they were.
Continue.
No, that's all right.
That's all right. Well, I mean, these are huge subjects, and I don't want to move away from the main subject because
right.
Talk about, yes. But I'll give an example that I always use that I think is the best way to explain it. It's like angels, right? Archangel Michael. Everyone's heard of Michael. Okay, so you think of Michael as protection, strength, and courage. These are his qualities. Blonde hair, blue eyes. Looks a bit like Greg actually, with the hair. And if he was Greg were to wear armor, a sword, and a shield, hey, there's Archangel Michael. But if you go to India and describe Michael, they go, that's Ganesh, the elephant-headed god. Okay, and if you go to Sirius, if you go to the third planet from Sophis, Sirius A, and you go to where the cetaceans and the carrions and the felines and the canines come from, okay, they say, well, Michael doesn't have human form where we come from. He takes different form. The energy is still the same, but it has a different form wherever it is in the universe. The frequency is identical. We know the Michael energy, but we don't know it in the same way you do because you create the form of it. And as you go to different planets, it has different forms of the same frequency. So universally, the frequencies are already there. All we're doing as humans is learning how to expand our physicality and our awareness into more and more frequencies. That's our job.
Okay, so that would actually explain the Jesus story, why there's been so many incarnations of somebody that was born to a virgin mother on December 25th, had 12 disciples, died on the cross,
Cyrus as well.
3 days. Same story over and over again.
Yeah, Mithras. Mithras as well was the 21st.
Dionysus, right down the line.
Nothing new under the sun, actually. I mean,
another interesting side note too, Greg, just briefly, we talked about last night, the Urantia book. The Urantia book calls Jesus Michael. That's what his name is to them.
Christ Michael.
Going back to the Michael energy that Paul was just talking about. So
Yeah.
It's
Well, I
the
was just
same
using
energy,
that
right?
Michael as an example. Yeah, Christ Michael.
Right,
It's the
but
same thing,
that's the
Christ
name
in
they
energy.
actually give him. Yeah,
Totally.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Your Urantia book took names of Christ Michael.
Yeah.
So the point being there, the awakening process, which is the theme of today, is to become aware of the fact that an individual is greater than just a physicality, greater than just sleeping, eating, working, having sex, whatever it might be. And awakening to the awareness of what exists already within the existing frequencies around you. The rest of it is information as you find out more and more about it. But then the whole purpose, the sole purpose, then becomes the experience of what you find along the way and the challenges. Isn't it great, all the challenges we're going through? Aren't we all loving it?
Sometimes.
Exactly. So, yeah, so we decide to form. Why are leprechauns only found in Northern Ireland? Because that's the form that people are taught to see nature spirits as. Little men, hats, ginger beards, whatever it might be. So we decide. But when you go to different cultures around the world, they see the forms in different ways. So now you start to understand, or we start to understand, that we choose how we would want to see frequency. We choose the form. We create our own world.
Really,
Every
I don't know
single
about I don't
individual.
know about that, Paul, because I have pictures. I have pictures of the frequency and of light beings.
Yes.
I don't know how to screen share, or I would. I mean, you guys would love it. I have light beings, light energy. No, if you could see my pictures, you would go, "Oh, that's the what?" I mean, I have pictures.
I live in that
of
energy,
beings.
so I'm aware. Yeah, I'm aware too. But I mean, there's no point in me describing things that other people don't see because it creates that separation.
Right, right,
So I don't tend, I mean, you've got pictures, so you can share that. So that's fantastic. But
right.
the whole point is that we all have a unique view, perception as a soul emanation of the
Right.
frequencies that we're dealing with. And we can create the form of them. We can choose how Michael looks or how nature spirits look to us. But there will be
Thank you,
similarities.
you're right.
There will be similarities that people see. There will be consensus. We live in a world that's 3D is a consensus. One person go for a walk in the forest, and they might see a tree, and somebody else says, "Oh, that's an oak," and somebody else says, "That's a light being," and somebody else says, "No, that's a resource of wood." I mean, how do you want to see things? We get to choose. There we are.
Right. What's your perspective?
That is awesome,
Yeah.
Paul. Thank you. Go, Phil. What?
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
all
I'm gonna say,
ears.
he's triggered a few things in me here, but the
Go.
main thing in all this is back to the thing that words have power. So each letter, I mean, if you get into the Kabbalah, numerology as
Talmud.
somebody else was talking about, is that each letter has its energy, and that kind of defines the thing. So I agree with you that, you go to different cultures, you got different things. This is why the goddess has 1,000 names, right? It's because each culture called her something else.
Same frequency though.
Yeah, different frequency on it because they're using different letters, and but it really is your intent. What are you wanting to connect to? So if you're wanting to connect to elementals, and whatever language it is, you're going to connect to a form of elemental that fits the bill.
Nice.
Most-
I agree.
most-
Totally.
Yeah, mostly through love, because actually you kind of touch on this in a way, Paul. Your heart
Yeah.
is an electromagnet.
Oh, big time.
And that is how you connect with elementals or anything, is through your heart. And
The
so it's like
frequency of love. Yeah, they
right,
won't deal
the
with
frequency
fear.
of love.
If you have
And
any
so-
fear, they won't come anywhere near you.
No fear. You cannot have fear. No, and that's the
And
whole
gratitude
thing.
too. And
Right.
gratitude too, because I asked questions of Paul earlier, but I intuitively had my own beliefs on these, and Paul just kind of verified them. But for years, I don't see elementals. I understand the concept, so I thank them. just thank you, elementals, for doing what you do, for being elemental. You know, they're elemental. They're part and parcel of the essence that we exist in.
Right.
And to me, I've always just thanked them.
So Doug, you can see elementals. You can. When you get ready to go to sleep at night, or when you wake up to get up to, excuse my language, go to pee or whatever, and come back to bed, and you're like, okay, I got to try to put myself back to sleep. Then you can see elementals if you want to, because they are elements of light, and they are elements of spirit and magnetics. And if you really want to see them, just say, I want to see them, see you. Come to me, touch me, and they will do it. And you're so close. You are so close. You can do it. I
don't doubt that, Mary. I really don't. I'm just, you know, I don't know. I'm more of just a practical dude.
That's all right. That's all right. That's all right.
Seeing them isn't all that. Yeah.
No, I love the practicality. At least you're trying.
You know, I figure if they want to show themselves, I'm willing to see them. But I still see a lot of amazing things that most people don't see. So I think they do show themselves to me in many ways. I saw, you guys that live in Florida, I saw a Florida panther a couple of years ago in Orlando at 5 o'clock in the morning at a Disney resort. I was walking down a dark path, and I walked around the corner, and there's a cougar sitting right in the middle of the trail, sitting there. And it was sitting, its head was way above my knees, and I'm 6 feet 1 inch tall. This was a cougar. And I took a step back, and I looked at it, and I actually said, meow. You know, I took my phone out to get my flashlight on, and I took a step closer because there were bushes there. I got closer to the bushes, but closer to the cat. And then I heard this little whining sound from the bushes, and it dawned on me that there could be kittens in there. And then I really took a step back. Eventually, this
turn around.
Panther walked off.
Back off slowly.
There was actually a bobcat that was walking on the beach here in Siesta Key.
Mama's right there.
But I'm telling you, Florida panthers do not live in Orlando, from what I've heard and did research on. And I did a lot of research after I saw this cat, because I didn't know anything about them. But what I saw was a cougar, which could only be a Florida panther. It's the only thing it can be. And for some reason, it never occurred to me to take a picture. And that blows my mind to this day, because I had my camera in my hand. So it must have been an elemental meeting for me only. It's the only explanation I can think of. You know, so I think the elementals thank me in ways like this. I see things that few people see. I mean, what an experience to see this. And yet, many people probably don't believe I actually saw it, but I know what I saw. You know?
No, I'm going to give you a term called Liran Pashat. Liran, L-Y-R-A-N, Lira, and Pashat, P-A-S-C-H-A-T. That's what I want to give.
Oh, I wish Julia was here, because that's who she sees, Pashat.
Well,
I can give you an example, like Frozen 2. Like when you want to see like the elementals, look at Frozen 2 when Elsa was gonna know all the elementals.
Why do you think these films have been made in that way, to teach the next generation? Isn't that fantastic?
I could barely get through Frozen 1.
From a gecko.
I was going to say, I'm not sure if you've seen Frozen or Frozen 2, have you?
It's not Frozen 1, but that was enough.
Okay. It's Frozen 2 when Elsa finds herself and she becomes a spirit herself. But she sees all the other spirits, and they come to her and they show themselves to her. And then she understands everything, and then she becomes the final spirit, which is, spirit itself, to connect all 4 of the other spirits. Which
Isn't that cool. Fantastic that you know the films are doing that, as I said, for the next generation. So yeah, it's good. That's really
Welcome back to the conversation, Desiree.
Hi.
We have Patrice here that's been sitting there awfully quiet.
We haven't heard Patrice's story.
And we also have Carol Vicari down there that's joined us. So if any of you guys want to jump in at any time and tell us about your awakening stories, feel free to do so.
Oh, you don't want to know mine.
Why not? Yeah, we do.
Yeah, go ahead.
Doug said yes.
Yes.
Come on. You're among friends. We won't tell. Oh, wait a
I
minute.
am awake.
Well, the thing is, people are going to watch this video that are just awakening, and they're going to want to learn from all of us. So it's really important that you put your story out there.
Oh, that's so awesome. I hope so.
So tell us what led to your awakening.
To me or Galaxy?
Yes, you. No, I've already told my story.
Yeah, we have
I
new
can't tell my
people here.
story.
Patrice and
Desiree,
Desiree.
Go.
So
New people,
Carol.
tell
So
us.
yeah, we want to hear from all of you.
the rest of us have already talked. So yeah, you guys go.
Oh man, mine is long.
Oh,
We're not
mine
going
too.
anywhere.
So
What
we're
the
not
hell?
going back that far. So
Oh man, mine started before birds. So, oh, let's see. I incarnated here before this lifetime. I was actually a chief in a my name was called Chickaroo, and I was hung because I wouldn't be programmed into the society nowadays when the settlers came and took over the land, and I was hung. I was a chief of my tribe, and I was killed. And then I came back as this form, and I remember being born for some reason. Like I was in this dark room, and all of a sudden, like I brought into this light. I don't know why I remember, but I've been awoken my whole life. I'm actually epileptic. I'm going through changes through my whole life. So, and what awoken me was getting away from part of my family that was actually a radical Christian and Catholic, and I rebelled, and I kind of conjoined all the religions together, and therefore changed my whole perspective upon life, and I just kind of go upon what I feel I need to, and I just
Desiree, that
listen
is
to what the guides
awesome.
tell me.
Oh no, that's an
So,
awesome
and
story, Desiree.
It is awesome.
when I was younger, my parents used to tell me I was what do you call it? When someone's going through epilepsy in the Catholic religion or radical Christianity,
Oh, spirit.
people tend to tell you that you're actually being possessed
Rapture.
by a demon, and that
Mm.
and it's
Exorcism. Yeah.
I'm just curious though.
exactly. So I went.
Well, time out real quick. I'm curious if that past life has anything to do with the epilepsy, and if there's some kind of transmutation that you're doing from that past life to get over the hurt from it.
That's what a lot of
Oh.
holistic healers say, and that's what I've been going through transitioning. So,
I was told
and-
I was hung in a past life too. I was
and
a
it's
thief.
sad.
I was a thief in Elizabethan England era, and my gang got caught, and I was a leader, but we were all hung. So,
Oh.
and then I was told in another past life, not after that, I was a bishop in the Catholic religion, and really I was a thief in both lives. So,
Nice.
in
We're
one of
all,
them, I was hung.
we're all
And-
laughing, but this isn't funny because we all know we have past lives.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Right,
Oh,
totally.
yeah.
See,
No,
Phil's like totally on board. I'm like, wow, I have been like, this is not my first rodeo. Yes, I was burned at the stake. I mean, come on. Go,
It's sad
Phil.
that we know this. It's sad.
Oh,
So, all right,
I'm going to change something
Awesome.
slightly there in terms of the soul has past lives
okay,
rather than
cool.
you. You are unique
exactly,
at this time.
exactly.
All right.
Paul. I
Whatever
agree
you're
wholeheartedly.
choosing, when you pick up on what's called past lives, it's actually the soul that's created past lives all at the same time. You got to remember, in the higher realms, time and space all exist at the same time. We think in terms of linear,
Right.
but the soul itself is like a pyramid, and each life
Okay.
is to bring forward different experiences at different cultures, different genders, different levels of society, all at the same time. So the soul benefits from all those lives all at once. So you can tune into what your soul has been in many other lives. Now,
Cool.
there's
And we
journeys
talked
you
about
can
the
do
pyramids
with it.
last night, so I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
We talked about them extensively last night. So you
Okay.
bring it up again, Paul, is quite
All right.
synchronistic.
So it's an important point that people don't feel that karma is something where they are punished because of something they personally have done. It's
No.
the soul's experience. So therefore, karma is going in this lifetime purely not because you're free of karma per se, but because you have the realization that you yourself do not have to clear the karma of your soul.
Oh yeah, totally. Oh, that's so awesome. Oh yeah, no, you're right.
It's a beautiful way of
Karma before is always
expressing it, but
used-
that's exactly right.
No,
Okay, thank you.
totally.
It's kind
So
of like
the
a
karma
realization,
itself,
like you're alive
yeah,
in
it's
different type of dimensions also. And like your
Yes.
life is playing out in the different dimensions at the same exact time of you realizing that you're in the same exact karmic realization right now. So,
Yes.
and
Yes.
it's like dream states, like when you go through different, dimensions and different levels of consciousness.
Dream states.
Kind of,
Dream states. Awesome.
so you exist in all frequencies at the same time. And what you find is with the pyramid, as I said, like the soul, if you think of it like a pyramid, you've got the different rays, the different frequencies. You come in as a nun or a monk, no relationships, part of religion. Then you come in as a warrior, as a king. So you go through all these archetypes to give you all the experiences you can draw on right now. And I want to say to everybody right now, you are the most important life right now, because you have access to the whole of the rest of your soul in order to help your soul move through the planetary ascension process.
Awesome.
So you
Spot
can pull
on.
on all that information, all that experience, and bring it through. And it needs to be done internally. You won't see it in a 3D world. The 3D world will carry on reflecting the dimension around you. But you can bring from what's within outwards in everything you do and everything you say, including all the experiences that you've gained from all the other soul emanations you've been. So please, I want you to understand, that puts you at the most powerful point of your soul emanation, because you have the ability to have total awareness of everything that you've ever been right now. So that's the work. That's the work for 2020, to clear away the detritus and gain the inner vision of what the soul wants to bring through into the world.
On YouTube, T-Light is saying, Tracy, she was talking with us last night. She was saying, so every possible scenario is playing out simultaneously at this moment. And that's similar to what Ian Lungold said that will happen at the end of the cycle, that everything comes down, like similar to what Terence McKenna said, when we're spiraling towards the singularity, that everything that can possibly happen will happen at the same time. We're heading in that direction.
You're exactly right, Greg. My spirit guides told me the puzzle is complete. It is finished. And that's not a negative thing. That's exactly what they mean. We have come full circle and we are moving into the next dimension. That's exactly what they meant. That was awesome that you had that connection.
You get to be the one to take it through into the dimension. So well done, people.
Awesome.
So Desiree, what advice would you give?
Song I got a song. I've got a song that I got to write about time, and it's first it was linear, then it was a circle, and then it's a spiral. And the spiral describes, you take the pyramid, and it describes that spiral.
Those are my total doodles, Phil. Circle, spirit, circle, spiral, and the backward spiral, like the Fibonacci spiral. Yeah.
That's the macabre.
Golden ratio. Yeah.
Cool. Lot of hearts.
Synchronicity at its best.
Okay, Desiree, back to you real quick. What advice would you give people that are just awakening? If somebody was asking you, what do I do now? What would you tell them? What's your best advice?
One step at a time. One step at a time. I would start with meditation, small things at a time, because when you do, like 2 years ago, I started actually a massive awakening, but I knew I was awake when I was younger, but I was the black sheep of my family. But I would say, like, since these 2 years, I've massively awoken and seen everything and heard everything. Oh, it's just been in the face. And so I would just say, take one step at a time, soak it in one thing at a time, and try to discover things for your own self and figure out what you need to do, and then find people who are like-minded like you, who can kind of puzzle it together for you and help you at the same time. Because when you try to do it on your own, it's like and you try, like, remember when Sam was talking last night, you try to find people who are like-minded like you, and you know all this information, and it's just like, oh, I feel so different. I feel weird. So I would say one step at a time. Just start at meditation, one thing at a time. Start with slow yoga, meditation. What would you say, babe? Just eating healthy and
Breathe.
and breathing.
Mhm.
Acknowledging that you're alive on this earth.
One step at a
Because there's
time is
multidimensional selves of yourself.
one step at a time is very sound advice, because it can be overwhelming when you're jumping in and you're hearing about all these different things: Dolores Cannon, extraterrestrials, Barbara Marciniak, it's right across the board, and you're thinking, oh my God, there's so much to learn, and it can be overwhelming. But one step at a time. I give the analogy, it's like going to a buffet and filling your plate full of all this amazing food, and it looks overwhelming, but forkful by forkful, that plate eventually empties. And that's what, this process is. It's one forkful at a time.
And,
No
and
one goes to go.
whatever it is out there that grabs your view, grabs your passion, or interests you, intrigues you, follow through on that, because that's your soul talking to you. So follow through on what, of all these things that are available, the ones that grab you, those are the ones read, because they're all pretty much saying the same thing and going the same direction. But you'll find some of them have meaning and some of them don't intrigue you as much, but they're all the same. So keep
Thank you,
seeking,
Doug.
but the
I
ones
agree.
that interest you, grab onto them, follow through on them, because
So
they'll lead to more.
I want to thank Desiree. Patrice,
Yes.
it's your turn.
I've just been listening. It's amazing. This is like my first time ever doing this. So I'm like really, really, shy, nervous,
You'll be
but
fine.
I did it. It
You're
was interesting
with
because
family.
yes, we are. And as I was saying, should I do it? It's like I kept getting this whooshing in my ear. Like when I was like, okay, I've never felt that before. That was different. So I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna go with it. So I feel like I've always been like sparks of awakening. Like as I was younger, like I always saw like shadows or spirits. Like I would always see things as a child, but it would come and it would go. But I was raised Baptist. Like my mother, she's Christian. So I was like raised in church and going to, Sunday school and things like that. But I was always I knew when I was younger that I wanted to heal. I remember I was just like, God, whoever, like, I just want to be able to heal. And this was at a very, very young age. I think like at 5 or 6 years old, I was like, I want to heal animals. I want to heal people. I've always had animals since I was a kid. But the true awakening happened for me actually this past December. I quit my job, which is the most radical thing that I've ever like done in my life. I just felt like something take over me. I guess it was my higher self saying, you got to get out of there. I was being taken advantage of, and I wanted to work at a place that was like truly genuine and like helping the world. Like it was an immigration digital show. I'm a video producer, so I shoot and I edit videos for a living. And I just reached the point where I heard, like, I can't do this anymore. Like something took over me, like spirit, God is all that is. But that was on Halloween, October 31st, actually. And so I know that's when the veil is at its most thinnest between the spiritual and the physical world. So it made sense that it happened then. So that happened. I quit my job. And before that, my coworker, who I feel is my twin flame, he came into the picture the month of my birthday. So I was seeing a lot of synchronicities, 11/11, more than usual. And I kept hearing that I had to get out of the job before this big bang, if you will, happened. But I guess, universe will shake you up if you don't, if you don't move enough, like it will shake you up. And so that happened, and therefore I quit my job. And then the day after, November 1st, I guess it was a consumed moment. I guess it may have been Kundalini rising, but my sister, she has sickle cell. Me and my sister, she is my stepsister, but I feel like her and I feel like we truly are twins, because we are truly the same. And she's a nurse. She's sickle cell. She has sickle cell and she's a nurse. And she was living in Charlotte for a long time. And she moved back this past summer. And she spent her time at home just researching, getting into tarot. And she actually gave me my first tarot video to watch.
And I was like, you know what, fine, I'll just watch it. And it was like, who is your spiritual guide? Who's your spiritual guide? This was before I quit the job. And I chose a card that the lady was telling me that, I don't know if you may not believe this, but Pleiadian is coming through. And at the time I didn't know what Pleiadian was. So I, of course, went down the rabbit hole and did research and found out that Pleiadian's in the constellation of Taurus. I'm a Taurus. So it was just like, I was basically getting breadcrumbs leading up to me quitting the job. But on November 1st, which I document everything because there's just so much information that I just have to constantly document because it's so much for me to process. November 1st, I was here with my mother. She came downstairs and I was really stressed out because I always have a plan on what to do. And I didn't know what to do. It was my first time in my life that I felt truly lost. I didn't have no backup plan. And I was video chatting my sister and she was like, we need to do a moon ritual. And at the time I would get like tingling in my left hand. I'm a left, but I would always get tingling when I felt like there was a good sign. Like I would just feel something in my left hand. And when she said a moon ritual, it was like, I felt like a pull. And I was like, yes, we need to do that. We need to do that. So after a while, my mom was like, what are you guys talking about? And I was just like, nothing. So I ended up getting off the phone with her. And then all of a sudden I felt like, and at the time I did smoke a little bit of weed. I did. But it was, this was different. I never felt this before, but I felt like hands were all over me. Like I felt hands, but it was gentle, it was tender. And I was like going like this. My mom was looking at me like, what's happening to you? I said, I don't know, but I feel really, really good. And I'm like, I just feel like there's hands all over me. And so that was a moment where I experienced, it was really intense. Like she ended up falling asleep and I was laying here and I felt like I was getting downloads from commercials that I was watching. Like it was an ego commercial. I haven't seen an ego commercial in forever. And I was like processing it as, when are you gonna let go of your ego? When are you gonna let go of your ego? And there was another thing about, it was coming at me so fast that I was like, what's happening? And then I remember laying on the back of my bed, like just, my temperature dropped. I got really, really cold. And I remember seeing like light, like all around me, just hands all over me. And I kept hearing, you're okay. Like you're awakening. And I felt like this light come from like the top of my head. It was really, 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 really intense. So that's how it happened. And ever since then, things are a little bit calmer now, but leading up to that, it was constant things that were just happening to me over and over and over. Like I was afraid to go outside. I could feel everything for the first time in a long time. So that's kind of like, so I'm still in the process. It's very new. It was like Halloween, 2019. So I'm still in the process of it, but
Wow, that's awesome. And it took a lot of courage to come on here.
It did, because one thing I did hear that night, November 1st, 111, November 11. Yeah, so I had a message saying that you need to create a YouTube channel. You and your sister need to create a YouTube channel. And the guy who I feel is my twin flame will be helping me. Now he is in a situation I can't talk to him, like we're in separation basically, but I heard that. And so I thought like, this is a perfect time for me to kind of like step out and just, let that fear and that self-doubt go. But I heard loud and clear to start a YouTube channel with my sister. And that's the thing, I shoot and I edit videos. I don't like being in front of the camera. I'm the one that's always behind the camera. So it's really, really new for me, but I hear it as my soul mission. I keep hearing that loud and clear. So.
Well, a lot of us are introverts and we aren't comfortable in front of the camera, but there are so many important things that everyone has to say, especially during this awakening process, that it is important to get it out there. And if we can do it, anyone else can do it too. Now, you were saying that you do document everything. And as we were talking about, what are some of the things that, what advice would you give? I know I wanted to bring it up earlier, but in the YouTube chat, Witchy Vibes said journalizing, to journal everything. And that's basically what you're doing.
Yes, absolutely. It's helped me a lot, and it allows me to go back and track and connect the dots to things that I had questions about. So, my book is pretty much almost full already, but it's like, getting into numerology and just literally journaling has been the best thing. So I'm trying to figure it out day by day.
Book number 1 is almost full. Book number one of many.
Of many, exactly, Greg. So I'm just like, I'm just taking it one step at a time, and it's important to like plant these seeds. Like I'm opening my mom up to this now, and she's being more open and receptive to, which is great, baby steps, as I say, but it's interesting. But and just listening to you, I came across in 5D because I was doing in all of my research. I
It's
kept
called
realizing that I
IN
kept,
5D. I'm sorry.
huh?
It's called IN 5D.
I'm sorry.
I'm just teasing Elena. That's what
It's
she was
IN
calling
5D,
it.
okay?
I call it in 5D.
I'm
The
like
rest
in
of the world
5D.
does.
I was like, no way, because I go on your site all the time.
Yeah,
But
you're right. It is in 5D.
but I just in the mixture of going through my read, I kept realizing I kept coming to your channel, and I was like, wait a minute. And it's interesting because my sister has this, well, her company called Conscious Vibes, and she makes tie-dyes as well. So when I saw that I was just like, okay. I was just like another sign from universe, like I need to, and that's how I came on. But like, and you were talking about the solar blast. I was at my sister's house during the lunar eclipse, and we were watching this movie, and I was laying on her bed, and I was like, because that's one thing, like my solar plexus has been like extremely like sensitive, and so I was sitting there, and I just jumped up, and she's like, "What's wrong?" I was like, I'm sorry. I'm like, so this would tend to happen to me sometimes, like out in the street. But that, and then I was getting like lots of frequencies. But I noticed what triggered it was the person who I feel is my twin flame. He touched the center of my back, and like it did something to me. And ever since then, it's been a continuous like something. If I feel something, or my solar plexus is just like going.
Let me ask you this, because you're making me think about it. Do you hear high-pitched frequencies?
Yes. Loud.
I'm curious because I'm wondering if when your solar plexus, I know people that do this. They don't hear the high-pitched frequencies, although you do, but they sense or feel, and they might feel something in their stomach, but you might get both. You might be getting both of these.
I get both.
But if you can actually match the key to the frequency, you'll find that each chakra is connected to one of these high-pitched frequency tones that we're hearing. So I'm just
Right.
curious whether, maybe.
And I was watching one of your posts about that too, about which frequency goes for which one, because I'm just like, it's always my solar plexus. Like I will get tingling around my crown a lot. But like those consuming moments that I would get, like there were moments where it got really bad. Like one time I was, I think I should save one of these for when your next stream where like this happened to me, because I do have some that happened to me kind of moments, but I think
I
I'll
can't
save
believe
that.
this happened to me. Yes.
I can't believe this happened to me. Exactly. So I think I have one in particular that I have for that. But there have been moments where my temperature drops, and it's like I'll hear let go of self-doubt, let go of ego, let go of fear. And my teeth will start chattering, like I'll start shaking, and I'll feel like I was out in a blizzard for like an hour. Like it was really intense one time with my mother. I was going upstairs to see her, and I heard it's gonna happen, prepare. And I was like, prepare. What do you mean? And I went up there, and I got so sick, my cranial, I felt like someone was squeezing my brain. I felt like I was on the verge of fainting, and I crawled on her bed, and I went through this whole thing, and she was looking at me like, I was aware, even though I was not there, I was still aware of what was happening. But there's been like a lot of things that have happened, but the frequencies, and my mom is starting to hear it even more now. My grandmother, I started getting into Reiki now. I've been doing the Reiki on her, which I've never even done before. So it's like a lot is happening all at once, but trying to take it one day at a time.
I hate to interrupt, but I have to get off. So I
Okay.
want to say something. My final words, this is in the words of Bashar. Out of your dreams be born, out of your heart be alive, and out of your soul be light, because that is all you are.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
Good night, Mary. Thank you.
Night.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. Love you guys. Namaste.
Namaste.
Namo Namaha.
So, Patrice, just curious, do you play any instrument at all?
I do. Well, it's so interesting because I have a guitar. I have an acoustic guitar. I played piano when I was younger, and I'd sing too. So it's like a combination of things.
Okay, now when you start feeling that frequency in the solar plexus, the note that associates with the solar plexus is the key of E. So it's the top string, the deep string, and the bottom string as well. That you have the high E and the low E on a guitar. Tune into that high pitched frequency and see if that's also aligning to what you're feeling in your solar plexus.
Okay, I will do that for sure.
And one thing you'll probably notice, I put this out here before, but whatever your birthday is, like if your birthday is March 13th, you're going to start noticing when you look at the time, it's 3:13. You're going to see your birthday as the time from this point forward.
Yeah,
Guarantee
that's
it.
so, and it's so interesting because I've been paying it, like I've been waking up at 1:11, or just like today was 12:22. But I came across, I was watching one of your streams about, and I think it was with Matthew John, and we're talking about personal year number, and I was curious, so I looked that up, and it turns out my personal year number is 11, which like makes like perfect sense. And like I'm 29, 9 plus, you know, so 9 plus 2, it's like 11. So there's been a lot of that, which makes me know that like I'm definitely on the right path. Like as a light worker, I'm truly like tapping into that. So it's overwhelming, but it is beautiful.
So in this brief awakening that you've had, what are some of the most important lessons that you've learned that you can share?
One thing I can say is going with the flow, like literally go with the flow and surrender, open yourself up to it. And I've learned that patience is key. Like, you know, be gentle with yourself, and self-care is very, very important. I would always set that aside because I'm prone to putting a lot of people before I put like myself forward. Like that's just, and I'm realizing that I really do have, and it's 11:11 right now as I'm saying
Yeah.
this, of
I was
course.
going to say it's 11:11. Yep.
10:11.
Yeah.
That's 10:11 Illinois.
Oh yeah, from Brooklyn, New York. So it's like
I knew I heard that New York accent.
yeah.
And somebody tomorrow is going to be watching this on a replay, the video replay, and it's going to be 11:11 while they're watching. As you say that, I guarantee.
Yeah, I know for sure. It's amazing how
I'm
that
gonna have to
happens.
watch it again just for that purpose.
Right?
That's my advice is to just truly go with the flow. I went to a workshop with a friend who was practicing Reiki, and I went and I got like a tune up, and when I did it, I went to a masseuse, and he also did Reiki on me, and I was like, please don't let me have this moment where I'm like consumed and I'm shaking and I look like I'm crazy, but I'm not. And it did happen. And then he looked down at me, and I was like, I couldn't speak because I was so cold. And he was like, chill. He said, go with the flow. And I was like, go with the flow. And if ever since he said that, I've been hearing it back to back. So my advice for people is to go with the flow and trust the process, and know that you are not alone. Your star family is with you at all times. And this family here is with you at all times. To find your soul tribe, build your soul tribe. I truly believe that. And people have been coming to me. And that's the truth. When you operate on that frequency, people on that same frequency, they will be drawn to you, and you'll be drawn to them. It just kind of happens like that. So that's my
Patrice, I wanted to add, if I may, to that, is that
Yeah.
the reason why it's in the solar plexus, these are Kundalini Kriyas that are taking place. And Kriyas are involuntary movements that the Kundalini causes within the body. One of the reasons why it stops in the solar plexus is it's waiting for the heart opening. So you're in the process, you're at the doorway, the portal of connecting with your heart. So the go with the flow is to go within the heart. How do you do that? Go with your feelings. Measure how you feel in those moments, and try and go within in those moments. And that allows the Kundalini to unfold within you, move into the heart. And that's why it's taking place, because the body has got all this energy that the Kundalini is trying to flow through, and it creates all these involuntary movements, especially temperature regulation as well. High pitch frequency is the vibration of the pineal gland trying to bring you online, trying to open up the heart. So eustachian tubes in the ear set up vibration. You get these high pitched sounds as well. Totally what Greg says. If you can get an external vibration matching your internal one, you create a resonance, and that opens portals, that opens up things within you. So very much at the moment, what you've talked about with the Kundalini Kriyas is about the heart opening that you're going to go through. So bless you. That's wonderful.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for that. I'm putting that all in my head, and I'm going to write this down as well.
Oh, I do too. Look, there's
yeah. 1, 2, 3,
journals.
4.
This is just the last month. All right.
Wow.
I've got them scattered all around my room here. I could gather them all around
Yeah.
and show you too, but I've got them everywhere, man.
Wow.
I've been writing stuff for years, and it's crazy. Yeah.
Okay, as a Reiki master, I have something to tell you, Patrice.
Yes.
You want to connect to your heart? Go like this form right here, over your like put it on patterns.
That's interesting because I get pain there a lot.
Right.
Like I'll
So
get
do
sharp
that. I mean,
pain.
if you're attuned, I'm assuming you're attuned to the first degree, and so your hands are your central energy ports that you're using. So you just
Right.
put it on your hands, or you can put your hand, both hands over your heart. Another way to do it. And, yeah, feel it.
Yeah, I need to.
You have a
I
brain in your heart. You have a brain in your heart. Brain cells, actual brain cells in your heart, and also in your gut. This is why they go with your gut feeling or your heart feeling. Yeah, because you'll need to connect this brain to all these other brains.
brains.
Everything's gonna flow properly.
Right. Right. Oh, thank you for that, Phil. Thank you. I appreciate that. But yeah, that's that.
Okay. So I want to remind people that tomorrow night, or excuse me, Friday night, this upcoming Friday, we're going to be having a show here called, it's the tentative, I might change the title, but this is what it's about. I can't believe this happened to me. And it's just stuff that, you know, we've all gone through this kind of stuff in this world, and stuff that's otherworldly kind of things have happened to all of us. And you know, I'm sure each person could probably be a whole show in themselves, but it's going to be really fun to do. So, you know, make sure you stay tuned to that. I want to encourage people to also visit in5d.net for these really cool shirts. Just had another person contact me today that said the same thing that so many other people have said. They say that they wear these shirts to bed and they just get these amazing dreams. So because I put that the 99.9% quartz crystal sand into the dye, I put Ho'oponopono and good thoughts and intentions. So yeah, check that out at n5d.net. Also check out the N5D Patreon page that we have, because we do have like this, but it's a private chat, and what we say there stays there. So unless it's really important, then I'll get permission and I'll put it out on YouTube, but it's a private chat. So you might want to check that out as well. So is there anything, closing comments or things that anybody else wants to say before we sign off?
Well, I'm going to say much love to you all, much healing, especially if you're going through ascension symptoms. Send energy to the healing of that as much as possible, because let's face it, we're all energy. I mean, that's what it boils down to. And the higher the vibration, the better off you are. Namaste, you're all divine beings. You're all godlings becoming. Start acting like it.
In Lakech Alakeen, I am another you. Yeah. Thank you.
Much love and light. I see you all.
Yes, much love and light to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. Thanks for all you're doing and for giving us the opportunity to come together in these moments and talk, meet some amazing like-minded people, all souls.
This is what it's all about. I really enjoy doing this for everyone and bringing Star Family together. This is what it's about. So,
well, if I may say, this is my second night. Like Patrice, I'm somewhat of a rookie for doing this, and it just is so immensely pleasing to meet fellow like-minded souls and be able to talk about this stuff. It really is. So thank all of you. You know, it's been very enjoyable.
So be sure to tune in, and I want to thank everybody for joining me as well, because you know, you guys are, I don't like it to be in a monologue. I love hearing everyone else's story, and everyone's got so many amazing stories to tell. So
I've been watching your monologues for years, so now I feel like I'm with a famous person, and Paul too is famous, super famous to me, and you guys are so awesome, and it's great.
I am another
We're just
you.
us.
So
yeah, I'm another
you
you too.
awesome.
We're going through the same thing. We're all going through the same thing. So I just want to say, if I may add a blessing to it in light language. Shomarati mekia tima ulmina na atura kina mase tamakura. Now, what that means is seek yourself to become one that is knowing. You are the voice of all that is when you speak from your heart. Sacred truth is the wisdom that comes from purifying the self. So that's the light language blessing.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So everybody watching right now, make sure you come back here, and even in YouTube, but especially right here on Zoom on Friday night at 7 o'clock on Friday. I know we did tonight's at 8, but come back at 7 o'clock on Friday, because I have a feeling this is going to be a long show. It's probably going to be a 4-hour show. And it's going to be fun. It's going to be informative, and you're going to hear amazing stories. And if you haven't subscribed to N5D yet on YouTube, make sure you do that. Hit the bell notification. And if you missed the shows, or if you're watching this on a replay, check it out at night. Listen to these shows at night when you're going to sleep, and you'll probably get triggered into some amazing dreams as well. So I'm going to leave it off at that. Be sure to tune in on Friday when we have I Can't Believe This Happened to Me. So until the next time, I'm sending you all infinite love and light. Thanking everybody for joining me here on Zoom and on YouTube, and namaste to all.
Namaste. Namaha, namaha. And buy a t-shirt.
Buy a
Yes.
t-shirt, n5d.net. Yes.
Blessings.
Namaste.
And like the video.